Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twodwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Melts24, Unimento, M Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Earth Poem, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Leland's, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. And now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to hear it.
Okay, so I caught part of what I think was your stream last night. And I heard you say that they didn't measure elevation angles using theodolites. That surveyors didn't measure elevation angles using theodolites.
No, they do, but they measure terrestrial elevation angles with the lights.
Yeah, you could use it for a star.
Yeah.
You use rise over run. Yeah?
Yes, a horizontal distance over a flat plane, yes.
Yep. And do you get the correct height doing that?
Yes.
No. No, you do not.
Rise over run does not give you the correct height.
The correct height? Not unless it's over a very short distance. When you're doing it like at 70 or 100 miles distance, you have to calculate in the 8 inches per mile squared, or you could use the actual formula.
No, you're talking about objects before horizon, right?
I'm talking about like a mountain range. So I'm on one peak. I'm measuring an elevation angle to another one. Somebody said they only do left to right angles. I don't know who it was, but
yeah. The thing is, are you establishing a level?
The theodolite establishes a level.
Right. So you're establishing a horizontal plane to do these measurements on, correct?
It establishes a level itself, and it's got a plumb line, right? So the horizontal is perpendicular to the plumb.
Right, but we're still talking about orientation. Orientation is still relative to the surface you're standing on. Vertical and horizontal are relative to the surface you're standing on. Orientation means
the plumb line is your particular location, but not to the rest of the Earth. It's a tangent to the rest of the Earth.
No, that's incorrect. That's not how you utilize it.
I understand you think that. What I wanted to actually talk about was the claim that I heard.
It's not that I think that. That's what vertical is 90 degrees. There's no 90 degrees on a curve. And if you think level is curving, you don't have 90 degrees to anything. Because
yes, you do.
That's a vertex, not an angle. That's not an angle. Saying tangent doesn't fix that.
Is this quantum eraser? Is that who I'm talking to?
No.
No.
It
Okay.
is
I
John,
don't
though.
know.
Well,
Okay.
you'd know if you was talking to QE.
I probably would. I imagine there'd be a lot of swearing or something, but I haven't actually encountered him before. So what I heard last night was somebody, and I thought it was Nathan, saying that surveyors only measured left to right angles with theodolites, not elevation angles, which, I was like, seriously? Okay.
No, he was talking about the difference between celestial angles and terrestrial angles. And then what you're talking about with the 8 inches per mile squared, you're talking about a resolution loss formula, which still has ground level being a horizontal plane within the mathematics you're claiming to utilize. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't understand your own mathematics. Look at it. It tells you ground is a horizontal plane within those mathematics. I'm not lying to you.
I can barely understand you, John, but I don't think that, I don't think you're right about this. So if I have a circle, forget about a sphere for a moment.
It's about the math. It's not about what I think. It's what
it is. It totally is.
It is not. It's not about what I think. It's about what mathematics that you believe in show. It shows ground level, what you attain. Ground level is a horizontal plane labeled ground level or surface level in the mathematics.
So so I wanted to talk about the claim that I heard last night, but if you want to talk about level, do you know what surveyors, how they define level? I'm sure you do.
Well,
Can you tell the audience?
Well, it depends. Are you talking about eye level or surface level?
No, I'm talking about level.
They utilize.
When a surveyor uses the term level, what does that mean? And not the noun.
Equidistant from the surface of a curve. Do you think it's equidistant from the surface of a curving Earth?
Yeah, that's what they mean. It gets even worse.
No, they don't.
It gets even worse.
No, they don't. No, that's not what they mean. They're pulling angles from level. They're using level to acquire angles.
So I think you
meeting a straight line is not an angle. That's not an angle. If you have a curved line meeting a straight line, that's not an angle. That's a vertex, not an angle.
I know.
Not
I know
all
that's
angles.
what you think. So can you see the chat?
It's not what I think. That's just what it is, man.
Well, that's part of the That's part of your problem. So I'm going to put some definitions.
I'm putting some definition of
pictures.
My problem is I know the definition of words. That's my problem, huh? Really? You're going to go there?
So take a look at what I'm posting in the chat. I'm posting pages from survey. You want me to DM it to you?
Look, I understand. I understand that you have
I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you.
Fundamentalism within these. There is a certain religious-based fundamentalism within these fields. It does not change the definition of the word angle and what level is. Eye level and surface level are parallel. A horizon is where surface level appears to meet the sky.
No. Level.
That's not what the horizon is?
No, you can talk about horizon. We are talking about level. But you could change it.
The horizon is where surface sea level appear to meet the sky.
Nope. That's a horizon. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's horizon. Okay, you can go switch to horizon if you want. We could, talk about that. That's fine. That's not what I was talking about.
Talk about level. How do you talk about
I
the
don't know.
surface level without talking about the horizon? Really? Are you trying to take
Yeah.
this purely into mathematics?
What I'm posting is level surface, a surface that is accurately defined as a curved surface at which each point is perpendicular to the direction of gravity at that point. The plumb line gives the direction of gravity at any place.
Perpendicular. There
I'm
is
just
no
reading from a.
perpendicular on a curved surface. Perpendicular is 90 degrees. There is no 90 degrees on a curved surface, sir. You are wrong. That is
okay. I'm
poorly
just
defined.
okay.
That's
We don't do back and forth.
I'm sorry, you're
right?
wrong.
You don't let me talk, right? That's part of the plan. I'm reading to you from a surveying manual.
So you telling me something wrong and me pointing out to you that is wrong, that is not perpendicular. 90 degrees to vertical is perpendicular. There's no perpendicular on a curved surface. You want to argue with that. That's fine.
Yeah,
but that's just wrong.
Are you going to are you going to actually have a back and forth here? Or are you just going to do the...
He is. I've been listening to it. He's challenging your definition, because in your definition it says... I'm now talking. Yeah, in your definition it says perpendicular to a sphere, and he's objecting, saying that's nonsensical, because perpendicular is 90, and you're just chanting through his objection, rather than acknowledging... I haven't finished talking. Rather than acknowledging his objection, and then maybe responding to it. So in your definition, I'll clarify his position that you didn't seem to feel it was a back and forth with, when in fact he's refuted your claim. By your definition, you have perpendicular to something spherical, which is a nonsensical oxymoron, doesn't work. You understand?
Hurry it up, Nathan.
Excuse me? I'll just remove you.
I said hurry it up.
Hurry it up. If you tell me to hurry up my own show, I'll just remove you immediately, omnivore. So he's won. He's won. You haven't got a rebuttal. Your rebuttal's to tell me to hurry up, so you've lost. Okay, no worries.
No. So,
okay. Perpendicular not to a spherical surface. I'll just repeat the claim, because you seem to obfuscate it by telling me to hurry up. I'll repeat it without you chanting through me, so you know exactly where we're going to lead off from. Perpendicular isn't to a sphere. 90 degrees. That's his rebuttal. Go. Hurry it up.
Great. Fantastic. So it turns out that in surveying, it is. I'm reading from a surveying manual. So if you don't like this definition and you think it's absolutely wrong, which I'm sure you do, you should talk to the surveyors.
Really?
Because I'm sure. Here we go.
The problem is my apologies. My apologies for interrupting. I understand you're telling me to talk to surveyors. They're not here, so I can just interrupt and say, well, that's not possible immediately, so I'm just going to interrupt for a second, if you can tolerate it.
Sure you will.
Yeah, I will. It's my show. You don't like that? Bugger off if you don't like it. Meanwhile, I'm going to just interject for a second. If you can contain yourself, we'll see if you can or not. Okay. So your objection is surveyors say that it's perpendicular to spherical, which is an oxymoron and makes no sense. Okay. So you're saying I've got to talk to the surveyors. How about if I haven't finished. I know that it's obviously going to be leading to something devastating for you, so you've got to interrupt. Is this the end of our time? Not a back and forth, right? Not a back and forth, right? I haven't finished. You said I've got to go and talk to surveyors. There aren't any here. I'll just make my next point, or maybe I won't, because you can't contain yourself. This is obviously you losing badly, right? I'll just try and finish again for a fourth time. So if I cite something that you've used thus far in your discussion with John to prove you're wrong with your citation, how about that? If I use something you used literally about 4 minutes ago, how about that? Would that suffice in terms of your claim? Because you asserted that we had to take into account an 8 inches per mile squared drop as per Earth curve mathematics. That was your claim that you made. And in that claim, where Earth curve mathematics asserts that there is a drop, you've got a surface level and an eye level in those maths. Now, in those maths, if your definition is true, according to surveyors, then that would render the Earth curve maths void, because their surface level in the Earth curve maths is very much level, and it's parallel with eye level, which is also level. It's not running perpendicular to a sphere. That's nonsense. So in your own cited
Okay.
claim,
Can
is it very, very badly that you're losing that the conclusion's not allowed? Your annihilation's not allowed. It's got to be a non-back and forth. It's not going to be tolerated, your absolute annihilation. That your claim that it's perpendicular to a sphere would annihilate the very level, very straight, very perpendicular to 90 in your Earth curve maths that's got the word level defined as it when it says surface level and eye level. They're not running perpendicular to a sphere, my friend. So which is it? There's now a choice based on your nonsense doublespeak. Is it that your
So do I
Earth
get to
curve
go
maths
now?
is void? Or is it that your
When-
definition is void? Really, really, really badly losing. Don't want the question, right? There's a summary based on what I listened to, where you started saying that it weren't a back and forth as you interrupt me non-stop. The question is, are the Earth curve maths void? Because they've got surface level that's parallel with eye level. That's very much not perpendicular to a sphere, because that's nonsense. So is that last definition nonsense, as John objected about 10 minutes ago? Or is the Earth curve maths void? Which is it?
Can I talk now?
You can answer my question.
You
Is
know
it
what?
Earth
Let me
curve
talk.
maths void or your definition
No.
void? It can't be both.
So the answer is the Earth curve math is what works. And let me explain.
No, you don't need to explain, because that is the end of your definition, because level in Earth curve maths isn't running perpendicular to a sphere. So your definition is incorrect, making you stupid and ignorant. And the very same objection that you rumpus when John pointed it out. You seem to object on the basis that it wasn't a back and forth, rather than acknowledging the same demolition that you've just suffered now from me.
Oh, no, Nathan.
Yeah, now he's chanting through the top of me, so Discord server can't hear.
But listen, yeah, because you talked for like 20 minutes. All right. So what
That's
I'm
not all right.
quoting,
You lost really, really badly.
Yes, yeah. I'm just talking to the audience. Look,
Are you?
the definition of level is
Someone has muted you from within the server, Omnivore. Yeah, because you were unreasonably chanting through the conclusion of your loss. So someone from the server muted you. Bye-bye. It wasn't me, just so that's clear. Yeah, the conclusion is when it gets to the point where level isn't level anymore, it ruins your Earth curve maths. But that's apparently perfectly right. Well, then your definition's wrong. But that's going to get chanted through? No, someone from the server got wise to it. It wasn't Nathan's mute button. It was somebody who saw you as an unreasonable prick, muting by way of fundy chanting the conclusion that you lost to John on. The exact same conclusion. If level's not level, then your Earth curve maths fails. But your definition's just wrong. But you didn't want to make that choice, did you, Omnivore? So what? Rumpusing ensues? Now, that doesn't seem to be tolerated in this server. Not surprising. When fundies lose, they chant. And then somebody from the server sees that as incredibly unreasonable. Not facing your very, very, very bad loss. Because Earth's flat, and you'll require it to be flat to make your Earth curve assertion at 8 inches per mile squared for drop. Yeah? Got to take that into account when you're measuring mountains off a flat plane where their heights are off a flat plane also. Yeah, you wouldn't have tolerated listening to this if you weren't on server mute, I absolutely assure you. Earth's measured flat for his example for the height of the mountains to claim an angular differential. How are you going to give us the differential if the reference for the heights isn't off a flat plane? It is off a flat plane, the mountain height, that he's going to try and claim when he gives a difference in a perspective hijacking view that the angle should be higher than it is measured. Well, you're not looking at the side of your own head, as this claim has been made by Omnivore. It's a crap old claim that we dealt with about 18 months ago. We know the trick. And he thinks he's going to win with rumpusing and telling his opponent that it's not a back and forth when he gets an absolutely stone cold rebuttal. It's, can you see the chat? Can you see my distraction? No, John just absolutely hammered you. Like, really, really hammered you, Omnivore. Bye-bye.
Well, I was trying to explain to him the Earth curve maths.
Hold on, John.
Hold on.
Jeremy's just trying to give us a...
Can you guys hear me? Hello.
Yes, two people started at the same time. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, he went on deafened. I mean, he went on for a while and he had a chance to respond, so I don't blame him for going on deafened. However, that doesn't change the fact that his definition made literally no sense because horizontal is perpendicular from plumb. You can't have level also be perpendicular from plumb. And if it's at a point that's nowhere. Points are nowhere. So his definition literally made no sense.
Yeah, it contradicts.
Well, I was getting ready to try to explain to him why the Earth curve maths appear to work, because it's dealing with resolution loss, not Earth curvature. That's why you apply that formula to the height of things beyond the horizon because of the information loss because of the horizon. That is why that works the way it does. But you still use a flat plane for ground level.
Your mic is absolutely horrendous
don't-
and was during that entire discussion, by the way, John. I didn't want to interrupt because you were on a roll, but your mic is horrendous. I don't know if you can move to a better position if you're wireless or something, but it's really bad. 70% of what we're getting from you, about 75%. Well, whoever stepped
You know
in,
what I'm saying?
I'm very grateful.
Horizontals.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, if that's a surveying definition of level, that doesn't even make sense. The point is that that which has no parts. So there's no area to a point. There's no volume to it. It has no area. So if you have level at a point, it's not level anywhere because that place doesn't exist. It's nonsensical. Also, they have horizontal perpendicular from plumb. So like I said, if they have horizontal being perpendicular from plumb and level being perpendicular from plumb, they're the same thing, and level is horizontal.
Yeah, as it is in their Earth curve maths. When they assert that there's a point below the surface level that represents the optical resolution loss, as John was just trying to describe it, which is absolutely correct. Because surface level in their maths is level. Because they're going to reference Earth when they measure it, they're going to measure it flat, and level needs to be level. So they get around is to say level isn't level. Well, it is in your maths. You know, it's a fundamental principle, an axiom that you can't defy. But they will attempt to defy that principle when they've got a diagram that shows mountains off a flat Earth and the heights thereof. And they're like, how does this mountain not look smaller in the distance? You're like, what? Well, it should be this high when I look at it from side view in orthographic and use the maths of orthographic view and put it on a flat plane and ask you why the angle's changed. Well, because the angle's got smaller because it's far away. Hashtag shit shrinks. That's the answer. But as soon as he gets that, we're arguing about perspective. I'd much rather point out how his example uses a flat plane to make the claim. Because it does. Because that's what we're doing when we measure Earth. For their claims as well as ours, for globe claims as well as flat Earth claims, they will use a flat plane. And this example is no exception. The mountains, their heights, in feet and inches that won't change with perspective, they're off a flat plane. So previously, in years gone by, I said, oh, right, it's an angular resolution loss calculation that's got actual sizes that don't change in the perspective exclusive view that you're presenting us with. That's orthographic. So there is no distance changing angular sizes because the mountain's feet and inches value stays the same at all distance. Therefore, you can substitute angular size reduction at distance with a claim that it's Earth curve, it's going around it. Well, what about these heights that you're referencing to say that the angular size reduction at distance, that's perspective, is actually Earth curve? Oh, well, the heights of the mountains are off a flat plane. Look how many feet and inches they are. Rise over run. Yeah, these are all flat plane measurements. So 2024, I'll just point out how they measure a flat plane to make this claim, because they do. We all do. Earth's measured flat.
You don't argue perspective with them, Nathan.
Absolutely not. But you got it late, Brian. I didn't. It's not part of their
But you
paradigm,
said
and I don't want to bring it into the debate because I don't need to. I don't need to have any explanation for why this is actually occurring. But parts of their claim when challenging us with a false dichotomy burden of proof reversal fallacy is to get me to say perspective, and I don't need to. What I do from this point forth is point out how their claim in challenge to me, that I'm not going to be answering, I don't need to, uses a flat plane in about 3 different respects. Until level isn't level anymore. But that suddenly violates their Earth curve maths because that's got a level with surface and eye both parallel within each other, defying this definition, which is garbage. But I'm not going to argue about perspective with them. I don't need to. And it's not in their paradigm. That's your point. Yeah, I totally agree. But they want it to be. And how can it be introduced if they're not going to introduce it in their begging the question perspective hijacking maths? Well, they'll have me talk about it, won't they, Brian? I hope that was your point. If so, I agree.
No, well, yeah, it is, and it's not.
Omni wanted to
Get me a
respond,
chance to
but
finish.
he's
Well done.
probably not going to answer the.
Okay.
Oh, hold on a second. Omni
Go on,
wanted to
Jeremy.
respond. I fear he's not going to answer the question though, because that's generally what we do here. We ask a question, it'll never get answered. But I mean, If you want to let him respond, go ahead.
Okay, I'll tail off where we left. I mean, the question is, are Earth curve mathematics wrong because surface level and eye level are most assuredly not running perpendicular to a sphere, which makes no sense, or is your perpendicular to a sphere nonsense garbage, exactly as John objected to when you started claiming that we weren't having a back and forth? So which is it? You've only got two choices. I want one of them as the answer.
Right. That's not. You're not going to let me talk. I get it.
No.
You have to control the conversation. I put a picture into chat, which is showing how they measure angles using a elevation angle. How they measure height using an elevation angle. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things that you're not going to like. The first one is this. Find in the server,
what happens when he completely dodges the question then? So what happens if he completely ignores me?
I'll answer. No, you're not.
I'm asking the server, not you. I'm asking the server. Yeah, I'm the host of the show and I'm asking the server. What do we do when the guy just doesn't answer the question and decides to... I'm asking rather than getting the answer in the middle of the question. He just obfuscated the question. I want it clear so it can be heard. Like, without impedance. That's someone talking through the middle of the question. I've got an audience. They need to hear what I'm actually asking before it gets answered in the middle of it. I'm asking a question to him and it's not going to get answered. So what happens next? Do we allow him to obfuscate for 20 straight minutes?
I'm going to tell you, hold on. Omni, we're doing a show here. This isn't the usual rigmarole you put us through every day, all day. So are you going to answer the question or no?
I will answer the question.
I'll ask it again then. I'll ask it first. Are your definitions that are garbage, that don't have parallel to a sphere, perpendicular to a sphere, when you've got parallel lines for eye level and surface level in your maths? Either your maths is wrong for Earth curve that you cited with 8 inches per mile squared drop, in an assertion that when in an orthographic view, mountains drop because apparently hashtag doesn't shrink, right? Well, is it your maths is wrong for Earth curve where you've got parallel lines that aren't perpendicular to a sphere, or is your definition wrong where it says that parallel and level aren't really level because they run around a curve? Because one of them's got to be wrong. I want to know which one's wrong. The definition or your Earth curve maths that definitely has level as level, unlike your garbage definition. Which is wrong? You only got one of two choices. Not an obfuscation about where I'm going to be upset about where you're going next to obfuscate that question. That only has two answers. Either your Earth curve maths is wrong, level is level in your Earth curve maths, parallel lines with surface level and eye level, or your definition with perpendicular to a sphere being level is wrong. Which is wrong? Go.
The surveying definition of level is correct.
Then your Earth curve maths is wrong. Then your Earth, then I will make the conclusion that your Earth curve maths that definitely doesn't have level running perpendicular to a sphere, it's got level and eye level for surface level parallel with one another. So they can't be perpendicular to a sphere when they run parallel with each other into infinity. So they're definitely not comporting with your definition. So ergo, Earth curve maths that you cited in your original first opening to this argument was that we have an 8 inches per mile squared drop as asserted in Earth curve maths. So the Earth curve maths is wrong. To make that assertion, you need level to be level in your maths. Earth curve maths debunked. You used it in your claim, ergo your argument is debunked. You said we needed to account for this drop. That was your opener.
Nope.
Why is it dropping according to you? I'm still talking. Making a conclusion after winning. I'm making a conclusion after winning. I've won. So did John when you did this last time and talked through the conclusion last time. Yeah, obviously this is a fundamental premise that you play on when you're in these servers, that you will just talk through a devastating loss. No, you lost twice. Once to me, once to John. And now your obfuscation is to say that the definition of level not being level, like in Earth curve maths, is correct. That ergo your maths is wrong. When you said there was an 8 inches per mile squared drop, you don't need to account for it because the assertion comes from a level being level Earth curve maths that's wrong by way of your definition. You understand? You failed. You lost badly. You may speak.
Well, like I said, the definition is nonsensical at its face values. He's got level perpendicular from plumb at a point. At a point has no area. He doesn't have level anywhere. And even if he did have level somewhere, it's the same thing horizontal perpendicular from plumb. Like that definition literally makes no sense.
Yeah, levels having no point higher or lower than another point. But a single point, no, absolutely right. His definition's wrong, but he can't concede that because his entire argument falls on its ass. No worries. Your argument started with a flat plane measurement. Your heights that you were perspective hijacking when you had an orthographic claim about why they would shrink into the distance, yeah, stuff gets smaller, you complete Dumbo. Did you not appreciate that when you put a mountain further away from you, it's going to get smaller? You're unbelievably stupid. Yeah? You don't
No.
realise stuff shrinks? It's called perspective.
So I heard you say last night, and I'm pretty sure it was you,
Perspective?
that
Perspective, my friend. You're going to acknowledge
That
it? Your
surveyors-
annihilation? Just moving on to a different
listen,
subject?
No, this is the topic I came in with. John moved it to another topic and then moved it to the horizon. So last night I heard you say that surveyors don't use theodolites to measure elevation angles.
I didn't say
And I
that.
thought that was
I didn't say that.
okay. I thought you just said only left to right.
I did not say that.
Okay, all right. That maybe I was wrong about who said it. That's
You were
totally
wrong
fine.
about a lot of things. You thought that level comports
Well,
to a sphere
no.
when it doesn't. Your maths for an Earth curve claim that you made. I'm talking. I heard you. You claimed I said something I didn't. No, I didn't say it. Now I'm going to talk. I heard you. Yeah, you obviously are deaf and stupid and think people say things they don't. No, I did not say that. I'll now move on to something else. Now I've addressed that garbage about something I didn't say, about theodolites. No, I didn't say that. Moving on.
Good.
Meanwhile,
so-
with something else to add to the garbage that you claimed I said that I didn't. I mean, I won't get too outraged that you're making up garbage I haven't said. I mean, it's enough of an outrage, but I'll go on to my next point, which is that you, stupid that you are, seem to think that level, which is in your Earth curve maths and parallel with eye level and surface level, parallel, you understand that? That can't be comporting with a sphere. That makes you moronic. Furthermore, your claim had the mountain heights that you claimed this differential in angle when there is no angular size account in orthographic view, as per your claim, was off a surface level that is also flat. The heights of the mountains that you're going to reference why, oh, I don't understand things getting smaller in the distance, why that would happen, yet that claim came with a flat Earth underneath it for the heights of the mountains to be off, didn't it? Earth was measured flat for you to make this assertion, and to know that the heights of the mountains, you'd need Earth to be flat to make the assertion of those heights, because that's exactly how they're depicted in your claim, aren't they? On a flat Earth.
Nope.
Yes, they are.
You're wrong about all of this.
Well, I'll
and
bring
I
up the
can explain
diagram.
why,
Yeah,
but
shall I bring up
haven't
the
been able to
diagram?
talk.
I've got it. It's one of Rufy's clown show claims. I've got the diagram. Okay? It's on a flat Earth. The level,
So you
surface
don't-
level is level. Excuse me, don't sigh
So-
through me. You've just said no, and now I'm proving you wrong. The diagram shows the... Excuse
You're
me.
not proving
Excuse me,
anything.
you said no, I'm proving you wrong. That doesn't mean you need to chant through me. Surface level in this example is absolutely unequivocally level. You are wrong. You said no. Diagram shows
Yeah,
otherwise. I know this claim.
I know. If you understood my
If
point,
you stutter much,
you know why.
if you
why
stutter around the claim, surface level's level, you said no. You were wrong.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not. So
Diagram
I
shows
challenge you to
otherwise.
find-
So the diagram's lying. So Ruhif, who
yes,
came
yes,
up with
yes.
this argument's wrong. Ruhif put it on a diagram that's flat. So did some other clown who did it in felt tip. They're both wrong, right? This diagram's wrong when it shows surface level, right? Because the definition of level in the diagram that's level isn't really level because it's comporting with a sphere when it's clearly parallel to eye level in this diagram also. For this differential for the mountain, your claim. I understand it. I've got a diagram. Earth's flat in the claim. You say no. Fact. You're wrong. It is. Surface level and eye level in this claim are parallel. That's a fact. Cat got your tongue? You're wrong. Earth's flat. Mountains are off that flat plane for their heights. You dumb? You stupid? You gonna lie?
I had him
You gonna
muted.
tell me no
I had him-
again?
I had him muted so he didn't rumpus you. Go ahead on me.
Okay. So find a surveying manual anywhere that defines level differently than the surveying manual I've posted in chat. I don't know if your viewers can see it.
Okay.
I'll post the picture again. There's a bunch of these. That's how they all define level.
Yeah, hurry along.
Can you
And
read the definition again? Read
I
the
will
definition again. Just so
I've already
we're clear.
overcome it with his
Okay.
Earth curve maths. So his premise started with 8 inches to
Level
mile squared. I've
surface.
already...
A level
Excuse me,
surface
while
is
I'm
accurately
just going
defined
to
as a
challenge
curve.
you while you rinse and
All right,
repeat the
all right,
same
my
thing I've
bad.
already overcome. I've already overcome this. You don't have to
Sorry,
chant through me.
Jeremy.
I've already overcome this. I'm not going to allow you to rinse and repeat. John's overcome it. I've overcome it.
So
With your own maths
So-
from Earth curve with parallel in it.
Fucking scared, Nathan.
He seems to be scared because he's chanting through the thing. John's overcome. I've overcome.
You're scared.
No, I'm reiterating my win. Do you think chanting
You're
that I'm
not.
scared will overcome my win?
Find any surveying manual that defines level differently than I've done it here, and you'll have a win. So go find a surveying manual and read up on it.
I heard the first time.
It'll be shocking.
I heard the first time. Sorry, I heard the first time. Can I respond, or is there more?
There is more. Yeah.
Go find a server. So I'm not allowed to fulfill that task. I'm not allowed to respond to that, which you've just challenged me to do. I'm not allowed to respond. There's more. Carry on.
Show me the
You scared? You scared of the response? You scared?
Yes.
You scared of the response?
No, I'm.
Would you want to hear the response, or are you just scared of it?
Are you
sound scared. You sound stuttery and like you've got a frog in your throat. Sound scared. Oh, you are scared. You're scared to hear the response. This will go on indefinitely, right? Because you're scared.
Okay.
You're scared. You don't want to hear it. The response. Go and see any surveying tool manual, right? So, ergo, the Earth curve mathematics, not very useful in terms of defining how Earth is measured with curvature then, because it disagrees with your definition. So you're saying not satisfactory when it comes to describing how Earth would be surveyed, Earth curve maths void, because it defies your definition, correct? Earth curve maths void? Because I've cited that already. You're saying it's not satisfactory because it doesn't comport. But you also said it's correct. So I'm confused. Is the Earth curve maths that I cited to absolutely annihilate your definition that's garbage and non sequitur because it doesn't comport with the Earth curve maths that has parallel eye level and surface level, not comporting to a sphere? So challenging me to go and find your proof for your claim by burden of proof reversal fallacy. No, I'm not going to go and look up what surveys say because you made a claim about it. That's a fallacy. I'm not going to fulfill your burden. But what I did do is provide your own claim in the first instances of an 8 inches per mile squared drop that would have parallel eye level and surface level not comporting to your definition. So that's where you lost. That's the fourth time you've lost. Or just admit that Earth curve maths is void, because apparently level, as defined in your Earth curve maths, isn't really level. It moves around in a spherical nature. Does level? No, it doesn't. Your Earth curve maths defies that. Is that not satisfactory, right? Because it's not a surveying manual. Just clarify, it's not satisfactory. Void, because it doesn't comport with this definition. The Earth curve maths, right? Void, not satisfactory. That got your tongue? Hurry it up. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Dude, I had him on mute so he didn't rump his shoes. I mean, I don't know if he's went on deafened.
Maybe he went on deafened so he didn't have to hear it. Yeah, he did. What an abject coward. Rather than listening to his annihilation for the fourth time, he went on server deafen so he didn't have to hear it. Oh, what a shock. So he was scared to hear it. So scared he had to deafen himself. Absolutely epic.
Like I said, that definition that he read makes literally no sense because they don't have a level. Any point has no area.
I would like to say, guys, that chihuahuas exist, but dogs aren't real. Just so you know.
I have no idea what that means. You sound better, though, so you might improved.
Well, that's when you express a contradiction within your own claim, you know, like saying level isn't level, or its level is curving, but you need level to be a straight line within the mathematics you use to claim drop. That's the same contradiction.
I just posted that in the chat, the Earth curve calculator there. As we can see, surface level and eye level is contradicting the description that this guy just brought up, a curved line. No, it's not. If it's a curved line, it's debunking the Earth curve calculator, which is Nathan's point. So one of the two must be wrong. And according to him, the Earth curve calculator is wrong because level should be curved and it's not. Surface level and eye level are running parallel to one another, and the curvature is deviating away from it.
Just for the audience's good summary. Just for the audience's benefit, we have now put this to a guy who's in this Discord, and I kid you not, 5 times. The first 3 times he obfuscated and rumpused. The 4th time he went on server deafen, so he didn't have to listen to it. He was so terrified to hear how his assertion that level actually runs around a sphere surface. Because if it does, it annihilates Earth curve maths, which needs surface level and eye level to run parallel with one another. So it's been put to him, which is wrong. Your definition where level runs perpendicular to a spherical surface, which is absurd and an oxymoron, or Earth curve maths is void. He didn't want to answer. One of his cheerleaders told me that I was scared while he went on server deafen so he didn't have to hear the 5th rendition of his annihilation in the pre-show. It's a guy called Omnivore or something similar. Nevertheless, shout out to Super Chatter Sensual Goat. He says a big thanks to Mush for clipping out PP and Bob. Also, kudos to Nathan and RC for your review. It's priceless. I can't stop grinning to myself. Yeah, I've trimmed out a couple of those. So if you check about member video, and there's one that went out to the public this morning. So if you're a member, great. I think I'm uploading it as we speak, or I'm rendering it one or the other. That'll go out to members later on today. And there's one that went out to the public. So yeah, they're from yesterday's live show, where we covered Planet Peterson and Bob, the science guy, having a chit-chat about us. Isn't that fun? So we responded to that. Wasn't convoluted enough with them talking about us for us to respond to it. There we go. So check that out on yesterday's live show. Let's do about housekeeping. Oh,
just before you do, Nathan. Just before you do.
There's another super chat that I've missed. Hold on. Oh no, it's Sensual Goat gifting out memberships. So yeah, I don't know how that quite works, but whoever got your free memberships, Jeff and Arwin and Slow Motion Moonbuggy and Mike 808, you've got free and Steve, free memberships. Thank you for splashing that free membership button, whatever it may be. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the problem here is the numpty surveyors who are putting out these numpty definitions of level while having to use a completely different definition of level, which is horizontal, in their work. The problem is with surveying, begging the question and saying level is equidistant from the center of a sphere, but then level has to be horizontal for all of their elevation measurements throughout the whole world. Rise over run. All the horizontals are level. All the horizontals are parallel to each other. All the verticals are parallel to each other. That's rise over run. So the problem is surveying, begging the question. I said this years ago. Surveying put out these things that mean absolutely nothing, that they don't use and they can't use. It's purely mathematical begging the question. If you look at any surveyor and ask him to bring you and for him to measure curvature, he won't be able to do it. That's the problem here.
Well,
the problem
you say
stupid surveying definitions that have no relation to reality. That's the problem.
You say you covered it years ago. We collectively unpacked this about 7 years ago. And in only, like I say, referring to yesterday's video, which maybe I'll trim this bit out too, Bob claims that I've just got a script because and then he did a poor rendition of begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculations. Now that's not a script. Every word in that is defined based on what the calculation does. Now Brian's admirably just pointed out that it's merely a begging the question fallacy. Oh, well, level runs around a sphere. No, level is defined by your own calculations where it shows level being level. That'd be no part higher or lower than the other. If it's running around the sphere surface that's being derived from surface level in the Earth curve maths, as per your definition, which is oxymoronic, then level isn't level and your maths fails. It all falls to pieces. Earth needs to be measured flat as a reference for horizontal, and that's precisely how it functions in globe claims. Not only will we require Earth be measured flat, you, when you make a globe claim, will require Earth be measured flat, because it is. Even when you're making your stupid nonsense claims about points around a sphere that are no longer level being level. It's moronic. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to define the very principles of your own mathematics if you're going to try and claim you're on a sphere, making you look very stupid at the end of the process, or being in fear of even hearing a question about the oxymoronic assertion of level not being level in a definition from quasi-surveyors, or the Earth curve maths failing because level is no longer level according to the definition. Of course, that's terrifying to a fundy who's got a sphere belief. They couldn't bear to hear that. The guy in the pre-show put himself on server deafen after the 5th rendition. Terrified. Meanwhile, one of his cheerleaders projected that I was scared. It was very amusing. Check it out if you remember.
I did presentations on surveying, Nathan, years ago. That's why I'm saying that I pointed out in specific that they were begging the question. And I held Jesse Kozlowski to it for 4 days straight back in 2016, where he had
So
to,
did we.
4 days later, he had to admit that he didn't include angular size change.
Yeah, so
Why
did
not?
we.
Because
I
he
mean,
was
maybe our paths. Hold on.
because he was taking away perspective and adding in our core.
Yeah, we did that with Jesse Kozlowski too. We are obviously running along parallel lines, you know. And if QE was involved in this conversation, he'd say, "Yeah, so did I." It's like, yeah, although we weren't united at that particular point, which we weren't, were we? None of us were. QE was doing it. You were doing it. I was doing it. We were all doing it.
2016, I wasn't in on the shows. No.
Stuff shrinks towards the horizon. Yeah. Yeah. We were all pointing it out. Hashtag shit shrinks.
Can we be begging the question if they never apply it?
It's begging the question of the physical reality being the point below the surface level that they say is Earth curve, because they mark that with an X and call that the horizon. And the title in the calculation is Earth Curve Calculator. So absolutely without question, the assertion, regardless of its requirement to measure a flat Earth, is a begging the question calculation, yes.
Well, when you say the term drop, what are you dropping from?
Surface level.
In that mathematics.
Surface level.
Yeah, so they're not really begging the question. They're denying their own application.
Yeah, you know what? That actually might need some rethought in terms of the no longer defined, formally defined as begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. Because it's flat Earth reliant proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculations, isn't it? They require a surface level. It's fundamental to the mathematics. So flat Earth
Indeed.
measuring proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, perhaps?
Yeah, it's actually taking resolution law and defining it as drop, but drop is still from surface level. Right. So even with, it's nonsense.
Brian, you're hot micing, my friend. We can hear your phone ringing. Brian. Can someone stick Brian on server mute? Right, let's do a couple of housekeeping questions. Oh, no, he managed to get there before someone... Can you take him back off server mute? He got there just before you did, whoever did that. Thank you very much, all the same. Okay, right. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Negative. Elevation angle required is a horizontal plane.
So Earth's measured flat, then?
That's correct.
Oh,
well, spheres, they don't have horizontal planes. So whatever we're going to discuss, we're not talking about spheres.
Yeah, an elevation angle is a 90-degree angle. So no, you can't have that in speed.
Right, it's a 90-degree triangle that you're forming with an angle. But yeah, I knew what you meant. Yes. What about any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
No, not physical, no. It moves with the weather. We all know that. And the Black Swan has debunked it in 2020.
Oh, we're hoping for great things from this server. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Lots of maths, but no, not scientific evidence, no.
What normally goes on in Earth Awakenings? Do you not have loads of people offering you things like scientific evidence for gravity? Yeah,
oh my God, we would have got opposition on the first one. Yeah, I mean, these guys, run us through this rigmarole all day, every day. Pretty early in the morning here, so.
You're saying people are running you
I think
ragged?
I'm the only.
My bad. You're saying you're getting run ragged with scientific evidence of gravity, typically, Jeremy?
Everything, yeah. Gravity, all the arguments, yeah. Go through it all the time here, nonstop.
Well, I mean, could you give us
You want me to try to
a
see if
hint?
I can get Zanuck in here for you?
No. Zanuck's a liar.
Nothing that doesn't have logical fallacies attached to it. That's the problem.
I see. I mean, I've had Zanuck declare that Earth's measured flat. You will need a horizontal baseline. You'll need a flat Earth. I've got him to say those words. Zanuck, that is. Yeah? When talking about measurement of what's on screen for my audience now, an elevation angle measurement with respect to Earth, Zanuck made it absolutely plain. It will need to be flat. He was the first. He was the first. He's the genesis of me twigging that all of their claims require Earth to be measured flat. For him, he was making a globe claim. But at the point of what's on screen now, an elevation angle measurement can only be done on a flat Earth. And he also disclaimed that. Now, Zanuck's about as slippery as they come, but he couldn't get around it. I've got it as a trimmed out clip and a short. Him declaring, yeah, it's got to be flat. Can't work any other way. That's the only way to navigate. Earth has to be flat. It is flat. It's measured flat, navigated flat. That's how these angles on screen now are measured with respect to a flat Earth.
May I ask, how is it going to help them if they scientifically establish a downward vector causing something? Since down is dependent upon a change in the horizontal along a vertical axis, which is relative to a flat plane.
They think it gets them out of the gas pressure without a container.
It actually doesn't. In either sense, the mass attracting mass gravity, which is still taught to children, is admittedly not actually a get around because it isn't the case. But in terms of their descriptions, if you took it at face value and didn't check if it was true or not, if you suggest that mass attracts mass and that the mass of gas is going to be attracted to the mass of Earth, which is considerably larger, then gas would be going down. Right? In other words, at face value, you go, okay, that's an explanation for how the gas is held here. Right, well, because the mass of the gas is attracted to the mass of the Earth. Gas go down, go boom, boom, go splash, splash, forming puddles of gas on the ground. Well, number one, no. Gas does not do that. So in terms of Newtonian gravity in name only, actually CV Boys Reverend John Michel Cavendish gravity, it's got a violation of gas behaviour when they assert that mass attracts mass. Enter Einsteinian fourth-dimensional space-time bending, which is a long road of nonsense and equations that is only there to confuse and distract you. It's like one magician waving his hand over here so you don't notice the coin he's about to put in your hand disappearing into his own pocket before he puts it in your hand. They distract you. So that's all it is. It's a distraction from the flat Earth.
These guys still think Newton's.
Go ahead.
These guys still think Newtonian and Einsteinian mechanics are compatible. They don't even you should hear these debates we have. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I'll just finish off that last point. The distraction with Einsteinian pseudo-force space-time bending is from their moving the scales. So they say that there's 1g. That's it. That's the only part of the trick that you don't need to necessarily notice when it's slipped in surreptitiously. But saying that there's 1g when you're doing nothing means that there's an orbital motion with you at 0g when you're moving around a sphere Earth in an orbit. But the nonsense of bent geodesics in space-time really has nothing to do with the boiled-down assertion that they need to be in place, that they can say, well, that comports with Newtonian mass-attracting mass, because you've got 1g acting on you. It's not a force when you talk about bent geodesics, and mass doesn't attract mass, but so long as you're confused enough to understand that 1g is you doing nothing, then job's a good one. That's me done.
Well, I just wanted to say
I was just going to say you're denying the gradient. Like what you said, gas doesn't do that. They say, well, so you're denying the gradient? Is there not a gradient? And then they just talk about a gradient for hours.
What kind of gradient?
Yeah, no, I know. Even if you tell them you need a container for it, it doesn't seem to matter.
And I'm going to need a flat plane for that.
Perfect
Yeah,
timing.
well,
It's 14.7
change-
psi at sea level.
Stop at a time. One at a time. Stop. So Fuzzy Ewok, there's a subtle change in how we started approaching things in 2024, and it might have just slipped you by. George delivered it almost too quickly. But did you catch it before I patronise you?
Oh no, I'm saying I agree with. I'm saying yeah, that's all they're going to do is deny that you need a container for any of it.
No.
Yeah.
I got that. Okay, yeah, it slipped you by. It's fine. So earlier in the show, or at the opening of the show, I explained that I would rather not take them to, or maybe it was in the pre-show, I forget. In either event, the idea that I should have to explain perspective isn't necessary, because the claim in that instance for the argument previous was that they need the heights of the mountain off a flat plane and level to be level, which is how their depiction would come in orthographic view for that claim. To say, why does the mountain get smaller at distance? Which is all they're really asking, because they've hijacked perspective. So, you with me so far, Ewok?
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. They're what are they hijacking on this one?
A flat plane. So,
Pressure?
George, now you're following. I've got you on track for George to now make that point. It's the right moment, George. Can you just reiterate your point? I don't want to steal your glory because you got there quicker than I did.
Well, the claim of the gradients of pressure, it starts at sea level with 14.7 psi going upwards into a vacuum of space. The claim of vacuum of space in Tor value, it starts at sea level. It requires a flat plane for that.
Did you catch it that time? Rather than arguing about gas pressure without a container, right, that debunks space. Wonderful. And you're saying, oh, they just argue about a delta of gas pressure. A gas pressure, meaning it's going to be pressing on something, the container. Gradient. Yeah, the delta X argument doesn't overcome that you'll need a container for that argument. And you're right to point out that they just go around in circles with it if you allow them to. However, in 2024, we're saying, okay, what's the gradient that you are appealing to? A description from sea level. From sea level. So this description fundamentally requires a flat Earth just to describe the gradation of said pressure, Ewok. You're going to need a flat Earth for this, delta X, that doesn't overcome a containment antecedent consequent relationship, but does need a flat Earth to make it as a delta X failure. Did you follow?
I get you, but then they don't just say that water curves at a level rate, you know?
No, they've just told you that the gradiated pressure from sea level, that's how it's defined, will be as such, haven't they? That's how it is described. The pressure gradation is factually described from sea level.
Right, but in their mind they think that sea level is curving.
Right, but we covered this. We were for the pre-show.
Yeah, I know they're wrong. But now we're just back in a circle of going back to the same thing that they were talking about before.
You just have to annihilate it based on their own necessity for Earth to be flat. So moving into 2024, if you understand as a flat earther that all of their claims, without exception, will require Earth to be measured flat to make their claim, then you can, as I did with the omnivore guy at the beginning of the live and pre-show, pointed out how his assertion that there's an 8 inches per mile squared drop requires the differential between eye level and surface level in Earth curve maths. That is to say, if you take the argument as a baller in Devil's Advocate, Ewok, to, well, level's not level, level's curved. Not in your Earth curve maths, it's not. Here's parallel to surface level and eye level running parallel with it to make the assertion that the optical resolution loss, which is in reality what Earth curve maths really represents, gives you a below surface level horizon. Nonsensical, but absolutely requires a fundamental premise that level be level, not comporting with a sphere as their definition takes you in a circle jerk. So if they're going to take you to levels not level, point out how, because Earth is required to be measured flat, including in their claim, it just takes brass balls to do it. You've got to know Earth's measured flat to be able to have them over a barrel on this when they say level's not level. Yeah, it is. Earth's required to be measured flat, and your claim of a sphere, here's your ball Earth maths example with level being level in your maths. You've got to have brass balls because you're presenting them their own maths, which you'd hope that you wouldn't have to ever do. It's their claim of Earth curve bringing in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve maths, heaven forbid. But you can, because their own level not being level comporting with a sphere, which requires a flat plane to make that assertion, will require a flat Earth to measure to make the assertion. And it's right there in their maths. It's called surface level. Just shove it right in their face. You'll need a flat Earth too, Fundy. Here it is in your maths. That's where, as he got a mention earlier, he'll get a second mention now, Zanuck got held over the exact same barrel because he needed to measure a flat Earth too for his globe-believing fundamentalist zealot belief.
Also, when they say mass attracts mass, causes gas to fall down, don't let it have that, because down is in relation to an inertial plane, even within their own mathematics. Newtonian mathematics is built on an inertial plane. The moment they deny that inertial plane, they can't have Newtonian mathematics anymore.
Yeah, they need a flat Earth more than we do, to quote John himself, who was just speaking. And it's absolutely correct. That was a very profound moment when you said that, John, because you were quite exasperated when they were essentially using the flat Earth to make their sphere claim. And you got exasperated when you need a flat Earth more than we do. Never a true word was spoken.
Yeah, every single claim without exception, whether it's in rebuttal, the point of fact, or whether it's a positive claim about the shape of Earth, is dependent upon surface level and eye level being a horizontal plane, 90 degrees to vertical.
I honestly believe this is why we haven't been censored out of existence. Yeah? You can talk about all sorts of different things, and if you're going against the scientific consensus on YouTube, they will delete you. But why is it that we get away with talking about it? Well, because we're not going against the scientific consensus, are we? Earth is actually measured flat, including for all sphere claims. It's a fundamental premise that's being used to navigate the Earth with. There's a reason they convert the maps back to flat, from spherical projections, as it's claimed to prove a sphere with. No, the original spherical projection that you're claiming this cylinder that's going to be rolled out flat to actually be functional was derived from a flat Earth measurement. And when you transpose anything that's actually going to be useful for navigation with respect to a sphere, you're going to be inside the sphere, because the sphere's just become the protractor for the angle measurements off a flat Earth to the stars. That's how Earth actually functions. It functions flat. So you can't censor out of existence the way that Earth is functionally running. So we stay. You just got to suppress us as much as possible. That's the situation we're in. And at that point you go, right, we are such a massive threat, aren't we? Because we're symbiotic with their function of the way they use the world. You can't use it spherical because it isn't. So how do you use it flat? What about when you're making a spherical claim? Well, you've got to back engineer the spherical claim into working flat because that's how it functions. So it's dependent on it being flat. That's why we're here. That's why we need mocking rather than censoring. That's why we can't just be deleted. We need to remain around so that when we talk about aspects that they also need, yeah, like celestial navigation, what, we're going to censor them out of existence? You're going to censor Practical Navigator out of existence? Of course not. We're talking about the same subjects. That's why we're still here. So what do you need to do if you've got this very real problem of a lie about a globe Earth? Well, I'll tell you. You create the arguments that a flat earther would be having if they were comporting to your narrative. They'd be talking about ice walls and talking about Admiral Byrd, talking about ether, talking about anything except for how Earth actually functions. Because then you can mock them and ridicule them for the stupid conspiratorial nonsense that flat Earth is. That's where we are 10 years down the line. Me with a smug grin going, our relationship here is symbiotic. You need a flat Earth because that's precisely how it functions when you make your globe claims, isn't it? And we're going to point it out for the next 10 years. With ever more extreme requirements being put on us, where you can't censor us because algorithmically you'd censor out of existence your own functionality for the plane we live on. You can't do that. So we're here to stay, aren't we? So ramp up the mocking, ramp up the ridicule, and ramp up the straw man arguments that you say we are having as arguments as flat earthers. Get the stooges out. Here's a flat earther. This is what flat earthers argue about. Not anymore. No, if I've got anything to do about it.
It functions as flat. It has to be measured as flat, but you can think of it as spherical.
You can, after you've measured it flat, to make your assumption of it being spherical. You'll need a flat earth to make that assumption. That's the whole point. They've back-engineered flat earth into their globe religion. And a back-engineering is just that. You've still got the original and its functionality within the now back-engineered functionality of a globe. It depends on a flat earth. I've never been able to figure it out. Why can't they just get rid of us? In the same way, if they didn't like Bigfoot liars or ghost liars, they could just draw a line through their names rather than under them. Why not with us? Why go to the extent of talking to Congress about how we needed to be dealt with? Why can't you just draw a line through us? There must be other wider reaching consequences. There must be something precluding it. Here we are, telling you how Earth actually functions. And it don't matter if you're going to claim that you're using a globe. I'm a globe believer too, because I believe how the globe works is really, really cool. Comes up with all sorts of clever sci-fi. Call me a globe believer, Earth's measured flat. For your globe.
And all their equations that allow them to think of it as spherical require it to be flat as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of embarrassing too, but it's necessitated in the mathematics.
Yeah, orbital motion requires that Earth be measured flat. Those derivations of the angle measurements with respect to a plane have been back-engineered and then put onto a ball. Putting stuff that's measured flat onto a ball still has a requirement for you to measure it flat. And if you're going to actually use it in reality, you're going to function with it flat too. Hence the elaborate dance of flat Earth measurements of stars angled to Polaris, giving you your latitude, to plonk that spherical or concentric circle system getting ever bigger onto a ball, to then have massively distorted southern quote-unquote hemisphere with antipodal positioning that won't work with maps anymore. So you project those points on a ball, the points on a ball being measurements of a flat Earth, back onto a cylinder, cut it down the middle, roll it out flat, Bob's your uncle, Mercator projection. That's the world that we actually navigate with GPS. Flat. Why? Well, so it can still function in the same way as the flat plane it was measured and derived from, the latitude and longitude grid. So that works on a flat Earth. It makes me smile so much when people ask me from a working flat Earth map, when all of them are functionally working flat, without exception. But yeah, you've got to distract from their worst failures, if you ask me. That's the propaganda. Why are we cycling through flat Earth nonsense, feast of nonsense, every 10 years or so? Why is that cycle needed? Why do you need to keep the idea of flat Earth in the mainstream? Well, so it's absolutely the definition of controlled narrative from the opposition themselves. You can't have flat Earthers talking about how it's measured flat. You need them to talk about nonsense, because then you can ridicule them, and the majority of the Western world can know that they're on a sphere like we tell them. If they're listening to flat Earthers actually make coherent arguments, rather than that controlled opposition nonsense of ether, then people might take them seriously. They need to know that their arguments are stupid, the ones that we come up with that they're supposed to be arguing. We'll give them to them, let them argue, feel like they're winning, and then give everyone the answers to those stupid straw man arguments, so we can mock them and laugh at them, and then wait till it dies down for another 10 years, and then give the next generation a whole load of garbage straw man flat earth arguments that no one would ever really conjure in their right mind if they were actually investigating this subject with any reasonable degree of cognition. Nobody is. They're all just regurgitating the YouTube video they watched last, because Admiral Byrd said we've got blah 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 at Antarctica. Wonderful. Yeah, they'll never prove anything of that crap while they speculate about Antarctica. Yeah?
Can I ask you a question, Nathan, if you don't mind?
Yeah, feel free. I'm ranting through the same thing until someone does.
I just didn't want to be, interrupting you, if you're saying something important for your show or whatnot. But my question to you, if you don't mind, is I understand like your whole point for 2024 for maybe debating and Discord and YouTube, whatever, for this conversation. But do you also think that that would work for going out here talking to people in the real world, not just online, about this conversation? Just sticking to the facts of we measure everything, everything's based on it being flat. Because the people that I speak to, and including myself, I guess if I would go back 4 or 5 years, is going to need more. They're going to have way more questions, and they're going to bring up space, and they're going to need to go down different avenues. So for me, I'm wondering, is this for a debate forum for 2024, or do you think this is for in general?
Okay, I'll answer you. Is it satisfactory if someone says, "What's Earth?" and I say, "Well, would measurements of it suffice?" Would your answer not be yes? I
For
showed
me,
you how
yeah,
it's
and it should be the right. Yeah.
so you're in a tete-a-tete with next man, and they say, "What's Earth?" and you go, "Well, if I give you the measurements of Earth, will that suffice? If I show you in physical reality how it's measured, will that be sufficient?" And if the answer is yes, you show him how it's measured flat, or charted flat, or mapped flat, or navigated flat, or built on flat. You show them how it's measured flat. Now, if at that point you're saying, but they then have a lot of things that they need to worry about, maybe rockets aren't real, for example, and how are you going to cope with that? Yeah. At that point, you would need to have a very good understanding of heliocentrism if they're going to throw a load of questions about their own religion at you. And if you don't have the answers, they'll, in cognitive dissonance, in spite of the fact you've just told them it's measured flat, revert to their original religious belief. And in that case, when I've disclaimed this in the opening part of 2024, I've said, this isn't for the guy that wants to go and debate his neighbour. This is for the guy who comes to the show and goes, right, what's the deal with Flat Earth? And regardless of if they've seen a whole string of videos about Admiral Byrd and ice walls, and azimuthal equidistant projections with sun and moon floating around above them, regardless if they've seen all the propaganda and straw men that the opposition wants us to be arguing about, if they come to me, they hear how it's measured flat. An unequivocal proof of how Earth is dealt with, navigated, built on, charted. Those are the things that will, if in my humble opinion, I found those things when I got here, I'd have gone, well, that proves it then. Because that's what I was looking for, and I spent 10 years not finding it. Now I want to give that out, and if that doesn't leave people armed to debate it, I've got a back catalogue of 2,000 shows. You know what I mean? Yeah, watch more and give me money. I am really poor. Please support the show.
Thank you for
Also,
the answer.
all the questions they will ask, you will be dependent upon the Earth being flat. Like, well,
I
why do
think
we have a
Bacon has a
gradient?
question to ask.
Well, what's
Okay, yeah. To summarise John's point, yes, he's saying that you, like I said to the other guy earlier, Ewok, you've got to have balls on you and know it's measured flat to be able to challenge them with their own claims. And John's saying everything that they throw back at you will require a flat Earth for it also. I'll just summarise your point, John, because I know SE Montreal wants to get someone else who's got a question in.
Yeah, I think Bacon wants to ask a question. You there, Bacon?
Feel free.
Yeah, I'm here. Right. Well, let me just see if I understand your guys' position, and then I can ask the question correctly. So in the way you guys understand celestial navigation to work, an elevation angle to a star gives you a circle of equal altitude around the star's geographical position, right?
That's not how I understand it to work. That is how it works.
Sure, yeah. And then by intersecting 3 of those circles, that would give you your position, right?
Yeah,
and also
so far,
that those
pretty good summary of what celestial navigation is. Not bad.
Right. I think I'll be on board with that. The only thing I would like to challenge here is that you can put those 3 circles on a plane and get the correct result as an intersection, because they didn't find an example of that yet. Maybe you guys could provide me with one, but I haven't found anything yet.
Right, you're suggesting that the measurements taken from a plane won't work on a plane. this is McToon's challenge. So I'll give you the same response I've given McToon. I kid you not. I think it's 87 times I gave McToon this response. Your request for how angle measurements that could only be measured on a flat plane work on a flat plane is stupid, because you've acquired the angles from a flat plane. Do you understand?
I understand that claim, but I'm still left with no demonstration of an example where that works.
Oh,
And
it's
that's
a
what I'm trying to
housekeeping.
get.
It's a housekeeping question. We ask it daily. Perhaps you were unaware. Is there any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved Earth?
Oh, I mean, no means argue for the globe here. I'm just trying to see if there's any validation of this method that
Yes, it
supposedly uses
saved.
flutter.
Yes, the validation is the countless lives it saved at sea. The reason that my sister, for example, had to be trained in celestial navigation was so that if she got lost, she could use that methodology on her boat or one of her boats to find her way home, and they wouldn't let her out at sea until she did it, because it saves lives at sea. But yet you want me, the flat earther, who's never done this, to provide you with evidence of this method that's trained into people who are going out on the sea as a backup to make sure that they can definitely find their way home by way of measuring angles off a flat Earth. But my question stands in the housekeeping question. Is there any evidence that you can get this life-saving angle measurement for this life-saving tool in a published book called The Almanac to find your way home by measuring angles off a flat Earth? Is there any evidence that you can get those angles that you somehow question in a challenge about whether or not they'll work on a flat Earth? Is there any evidence that they can be measured by any other means other than a flat Earth? Like asked in the housekeeping question daily for many years.
Sorry, I think I was misunderstood. Like, I'm not asking for validation that celestial navigation works. I already validated it. Like, I learned the process. I know how to do it myself. What I'm asking for validation is that those circles of equal altitude are in the same plane. So if there's a method that do draw the circles on a plane and get the correct answer as an intersection, I didn't find any
celestial
example of that.
navigation. Yes, that is the method of doing that. And when you do that method that you're asking for validation of if that method works or not on a plane, it is functionally on a plane, and it is used to save lives at sea.
None of the methods I found so far are drawing circles on flat planes.
Stop. You detailed it quite specifically, and I applauded you for your definitions. 90 degrees to your position. That's a area of equal elevation, circle of equal altitude. You understand that when you make an elevation angle measurement with a 90-degree GP below the star, that circle you draw out is on a plane. You understand that?
I understand that claim.
Right, stop. So that is affirming that which you are denying now, because you're saying, I don't see any examples of how this would be on a plane. No, the very process itself is utilizing a flat Earth. But then you're saying I don't see any example of how it uses a flat Earth. Your question makes no sense. The process requires, it's a prerequisite that Earth's flat for this process. I mean, you haven't seen any validation for it. Celestial navigation is the validation for it. That is the process, and it is flat.
The process is not exactly drawing circles on a plane. That's
Stop. Sorry. The process of drawing circles of equal elevation, according to you, is not drawing circles, that's two-dimensional circles, on a plane. And no, you're just wrong. It fundamentally is exactly that. Why are you being moronic? An area of equal elevation, a circle, is factually a plane in this description. There's no other way to describe it, and yet you're denying it. I ask again, why are you being so moronic? It's an area of equal elevation. You're saying it's not a plane. What's an area of equal elevation? That's the circle that you've just drawn out and described. If it's not a plane, what the hell is it? It's an area of equal elevation. Apparently an area of equal elevation, otherwise known as a circle of, what do they call it? I've forgotten the other name for it. Regardless, That's a plane. It can't be described any other way, but you're denying it.
I haven't denied actually. I mean, as far as I've been in this conversation, it could very well be in the position to stand for a flat Earth. I never argue for anything other than a flat plane here. What I'm asking is for a validation that those circles on the same plane can actually give you the correct location. Because if you look at the
They
real life examples
do.
of a celestial navigation,
I've already answered this twice. It literally
claimed it.
saves
I see
people
it.
lives at sea. You're asking for validation whether or not these circles of equal elevation, that means they're at the same height. That's a plane. Whether or not this process has been validated. Yeah, they train it into people who go out to sea. I've already answered you. Why are you repeating the same question? Do you not appreciate that saving lives at sea with this process is the validation for the process?
As I already said, I'm not asking for validation of celestial navigation. I'm asking for validation that by drawing those three circles on the same plane, the intersecting location, it would be the correct one. None of the examples I found so far are actually circles being drawn on a piece of paper. That's not what the process actually is.
So when a navigator draws out the circles with a compass on a map that's flat on a chart table, that's not flat.
They don't use they're not using the compasses to draw circles of equal altitude. That's not what the compasses are being
That's
used
exactly what they're doing.
for. Show me one example there. Because I mean,
Celestial navigation, for about the 7th time, celestial navigation is the example. That is the process. That is what they're doing. It's called a circle of equal elevation that you say isn't a plane. It is. That's why it's called a circle of equal elevation. The other title for it is a circle of equal altitude.
Don't think it should be that hard to drop an example of 3 circles being drawn and say, okay, this is where they intersect. That's the correct location. Because that's not being demonstrated
They've been flashing
here.
up on my screen for the audience the entire time. I've got examples flashing by on flashcards non-stop of areas of equal elevation drawn out in celestial navigation manuals from the Practical Navigator. That's Harold Jacoby with his illustrations of boats drawing out circles of equal elevation on a plane to explain to people how to use this process with a flat Earth in case they get lost at sea. And I've explained that my very sister had to be qualified to do it so she could find her position, if lost, on a flat Earth. But yeah, you keep taking us around in circles like, I've got no examples of this. Well, okay, go and get Harold Jacoby's book. It's called The Practical Navigator. It depicts it quite clearly, and you have to be trained on it to go out on a frigging boat. Now, that is about the 7th time I've said it. Are you going to shut up now? It's done on a plane. That's a flat
I didn't
Earth.
say you don't have the examples. Maybe you do.
Sorry, did you not hear Harold Jacoby on screen for audience with a reference and citation, an author, and then describing how people have to actually follow the process to get qualified? Was that just completely ignored? Somebody kick this shithead out. I'm losing my temper with him. He's taking me around in circles saying, yeah, I understand that an area of equal elevation is drawn out in navigation. That's what it's called. But I don't understand how these 3 areas of equal elevation on a plane are on a plane. That's his circular reasoning argument that he's had 5 times with me. I'm tired of it.
It might be because he thinks he knows it's a sphere, so it has to work on a sphere, even though it can't work on a sphere. That's probably the cognitive dissonance being
I don't think he
expressed.
mentioned spheres once.
Yeah, but you do, Bacon.
Okay, so you
sorry.
Okay, you haven't mentioned spheres once. You've used that about 3 times. So you understand and appreciate that Earth is measured flat then?
I'll give you that, yeah.
Excellent. So jobs are good and Earth's measured flat. Can you repeat that?
Sure, yeah, Earth's measured flat. I'm a flat earther now.
Excellent.
Bacon, but
good.
you do claim when you put those 3 circles on a sphere that it works on a sphere. So which sphere are you using?
No,
Because you do
he
claim
didn't claim that. Well, who's putting words in his mouth?
No,
he
he
did not
does.
say that.
Not right now. No, not right now. He does every day.
He didn't say it
does
live
every
on.
day. He says when
Okay, well, there's 102
Okay.
people listening, Mush, and they heard him say Earth's measured flat because it is. His descriptions of areas of equal elevation, circles. If you're 1,000 miles away from the GP of the star that you're measuring in that instance, you have just measured 1,000 miles of equal elevation. That's a flat Earth right there. in that measurement, a measurement of a flat Earth that he just conceded to. There's no way of getting around it. His garbage that he spewed to people when I wasn't here is irrelevant. He's conceded Earth's measured flat because fact, it is. He knows it. I know it.
Welcome to the team, Bagan.
Thanks. I mean, even now that I'm a flat earther, I'm still like I was still curious to see a working example of this. I mean, I heard reference to Harold Jacobi. That's fine. I'll look up if there's an example where he draws 3 circles and get the correct intersections. Because as far as I've tried this, it didn't work. As far as I've seen examples of people.
What boat did you go out on? What boat did you go out on? What's the name of your boat?
I didn't use a boat.
Excuse me. Sorry, so let me get it straight. You're going to now mislead my audience into an idea that, like my sister who went out on boats and had to learn how to do celestial navigation. Are you trained in celestial navigation like my sister was?
No, I'm not.
How the hell would you know? You've not got a boat. You're not saving your life at sea. You're not using triangulation to find your position, but you say it's a failure. How dare you? You're an insult to people who go out on sea, who actually go out and buy boats and learn how to navigate with sextants, like my sister. That's what she did. Yeah? You say it doesn't work? So are you insulting my sister and the people who trained her and the institutions that insisted that she was qualified to do that? Are they all a sham according to you because you say it doesn't work? You outrageous prick. How dare you? Now, when you've gone out on a boat with a sextant, bearing in mind you'll have to be damn well qualified to do this, you can tell me it don't work when you do that. Till then, shut your stupid mouth. This is a process that saves lives. How dare you insult it by saying you don't think it works? You don't understand that areas of equal elevation are a flat plane. You seem to want to deny that. Yeah? Don't worry about what you can't possibly fathom or do or are qualified to do. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just because you can't figure it out, mate, don't worry about it. There's plenty of books, navigation, books published. Yeah, they're probably way beyond your comprehension. You haven't heard of Harold Jacobi. You need to go and look it up, do you? Oh, really? How dare you tell us that we have got it wrong when there's hundreds of people being trained and qualified in this process on a flat Earth? Yeah? My sister's one of them. You're not. Go and read some books on it and you'll understand more about how Earth's flat, rather than telling us how it doesn't work when it's saving lives at sea. I thank you.
Can I respond still?
No! You haven't done this, but you're telling us it doesn't work, so we should scrap the institutes that qualify people in doing it then, according to you, because you say it doesn't work, right?
Since you're asking me, I think I should answer.
Should we scrap the thing that people should be qualified so they can find their position at sea? Because you say it doesn't work.
It's not what I said.
Sorry, so it does work. So you understand that celestial navigation is trained into people so that they don't die at sea because it works. You know, they publish almanacs so people can use the stars to find their position if lost at sea with the book they publish. Or are the people publishing the almanac alongside training for navigation to find your position if lost, are they all scammers because you say it doesn't work?
No, I'm saying it does work. I'm saying
So
the process
stop.
of celestial navigation
So
that you do
stop.
from manuals
So
does
stop.
work.
So celestial navigation, you now understand that this flat Earth methodology that you don't seem to appreciate works on a flat Earth when we're talking about areas of equal elevation. You say that you don't understand how 3 points when drawing circles of equal elevation with angle measurements on a flat Earth to stars could find your position. You said it didn't work. Now you're saying you understand that you're, what, a disingenuous shit? And it does work? You've just said it does work. So now we're clear. This process that saves lives does work. It's not you, the arrogant prick, objecting to it because it doesn't anymore. You know it works now. Correct?
No, I didn't object to the method. No. What I object
so you understand the method works then to find your position with 3 circles of equal elevation. You understand that works as opposed to you couldn't get it to work.
That already.
Stop.
Yeah,
Stop. You said you couldn't get it to work, Dumbo. Now I'm asking, regardless of how stupid you are with this process, because you said you couldn't get it to work based on McToon's idiocy. It does work, and people are trained in it so they don't die. Do you understand that it does work regardless of your incompetence?
I didn't say the method doesn't work. What I said
Sorry, you
doesn't
didn't say
work
the method
is
does
drawing
work.
three
So, sorry,
circles.
stop. Sorry, stop. You
I could-
didn't
can I
say,
get out
stop.
with one
I need to
sentence out?
clarify what you've said by repeating it. You didn't say it does work. No, it absolutely works. It saves lives at sea. You not saying that it does work's irrelevant. You're an idiot and a moron and ignorant and have never read a navigation book, held a sextant, been out at sea on a boat, own a boat, or been trained in navigation. But you alluded to the idea that it doesn't work. Now you've just told me you're not saying it does work. Ergo, not working. It does work. You were wrong when you claimed your idiocy and failures of a person who doesn't know how to do this process claimed it didn't work. It does, it saves lives. You just need to concede, you little weasel, not tell me that you weren't saying it did work, because that's what you just said.
No, there are two things in questions. One is the method that people actually do. The other is this claim of drawing three circles of equal altitude on a plane. What I'm saying doesn't work is the second, not the first. You're conflating both of them in your response. But I never said the first one didn't work, which is the one you're talking about right now. But I'm saying didn't work when I tried it.
Show me an elevation angle measurement that's not taken from a plane. If you can do that, I'll allow you to go and get a citation that says that 3 areas of equal elevation, all measured with 90 degrees to your position, that's flat plane in all directions to all 3 stars that you're navigating. Yeah, show me that you can get an elevation angle measurement for each of them that's not on a flat plane. Go.
Oh, that's not what I'm
That's
arguing for. I'm giving you that.
Sorry,
As
is
I
that
said
you?
already.
Sorry,
As I said
so
already.
all 3 points are measured on a flat plane then?
I'm conceding to that.
Yeah, that's because it's a flat plane, you stupid idiot. You're objecting to it being a plane, but you're conceding that all 3 points are measured on a plane. Do you understand how idiotic your position is now? Because you're conceding to the fact that all 3 points while you rumpus me are measured on a plane. Yes, because it's a plane, mate.
I'm not objecting from the angles being measured from
So you
plane.
concede it's a plane we're measuring then?
Sure.
Well, that's your objection
That
dealt
doesn't
with.
answer my question.
That's your objection dealt with then. You didn't understand how 3 circles of equal elevation could be on a plane. Yeah, they are. Now you've conceded, you can shut your mouth. I'm done with you. You're incredibly irritating. You've objected for the last 20 minutes that a plane could be 3 areas of equal elevation intersecting. Now you've conceded all 3 points for these angles are measured on a plane. Yet you're dumb and you're irritating and you've wasted our time for 20 minutes. Now sit down and shut up.
I think we agree there.
Shut up! That means stop talking. We all agree it's measured flat. Yeah, Earth's flat. We know, you agree, but you object because you don't understand how areas of equal elevation could intersect on a plane. Now you've understood. All 3 angles are measured on a plane. You've conceded. Now shut up. You lost. Your objection was stupid. Now you can shut up. You were formerly a globe believer. You've been educated by me. You've conceded you know Earth's measured flat now. You've still got a bit of cognitive dissonance that says I don't understand how 3 areas that are all measured flat, with areas of equal elevation coming at 90 degrees to your position in all respects, measured on a plane, could be on a plane. You understand that, Dumbo? That's your position? Dumbo? You? Shut up. Don't need a response. It was rhetorical. Idiots that we have to deal with.
Well, if I was in here talking to folks like this, there'd be somebody running across the room to try to damn mute me. But I guess if you're British or it's allowed. I can understand it. I have a strong Southern accent. I get muted for talking. But this guy over here, he's British, which means he sounds like a puppy dog. So even though he's trying to sound
Dude, I don't know what you're
intimidating
doing
and
right here.
menacing-
We're doing a show though. This isn't the regular scheduled programming here. This is an event, so.
Oh. Well, I just walked in
my
here
bad.
and dude like
I assume that ordinarily you'd have got away with your string of ad homs about me.
Yeah, appeal to format. To get it back on point, though, there is no area of equal elevation on a globe. They claim there is a drop in elevation. So no equal elevation. That needs to be understood before you go on to claim that you can put areas of equal elevation onto a sphere. That doesn't work. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, spheres don't have horizontal plane.
Did that, what's his name, Semper or something? Did he actually have anything to add beyond his ad homs? Did you have something you wanted to answer or ask, perhaps? Verum?
I don't even know who that was. It sounded like
Me? Oh, this is yeah, it's Eli, you know. But I mean, I just stepped in to hear that, and I get muted all the time just for even talking. So
Now's your chance, mate.
Yeah, we're not doing the
You're off
regular.
mute. Hopefully no one will interrupt you. Say what you've got to say, my friend. Mike's all yours.
He wasn't saying that.
Did he drop?
He was just here to appeal format.
Yeah,
He
he
was
either
just here to
got kicked
appeal
or
format,
dropped.
apparently.
Did you say he either cupcaked or dropped? Is that what I just heard?
No, I said kicked.
Oh, I don't think anybody kicked him, did they? Oh, well, that was fun. Typical circle jerk that I was expecting from a fundy. So you say he's typically in here telling you planes on spheres and stuff.
Oh, Bacon's one of the top 10 Globers.
Really? Didn't impress me much.
Apparently not anymore. Now he's a flat earther.
This is the power of the 2024 argument if you know that Earth's measured flat. Yeah, it's a powerful argument. Just
The
gotta
Earth is
understand
not flat, man. Okay.
Hold on. This is the Hills and Valleys guy. Hold
No, let him have his piece. Go ahead.
There's no
on.
elevation change on a flat Earth, bro.
That's correct. Sorry, did you want to make the rest of the
Can you
argument?
prove that?
Bevite, did you want to make the rest of that argument or not?
Workers.
You're supposed to go on to tell me how the deviations in topography with respect to sea level prove Earth's not flat. Did you want to make the rest of the argument?
Seas aren't level, though, dude.
Say again? It's like pulling teeth.
He's saying
I mean, if you thought Bacon was a waste of time, this is going to be way worse.
No, I don't need to hear
Hold
someone
on a
else tell me
second.
what he's saying. I just need to hear him. Don't be shy. It's okay. We won't bite.
How is a 40-foot wave level with a 1-foot wave?
Ah, right. You mean sea level is useless?
The surface of the seas aren't level.
Yeah, you have to take an average of it. Yeah, you're right.
40 foot is distinguished from what, sir?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like the top of a 40-foot wave isn't going to be
he's
level
seeking
with the
clarity. I'm
top
sorry.
of a 1-foot
I'm really sorry
wave.
to interrupt you. He just wants clarity. So when you say 40-foot wave, yeah, how do you describe it being 40 foot exactly? Is there a reference plane to describe that 40 foot with respect to? How do you know it's 40 foot? With respect to what exactly?
I mean, any wave at all, it can't be level.
Yeah, and you're saying 40-foot wave. Is that level? I'm saying, okay, how do you describe it as being 40 foot? What do you reference to give us the height at 40 foot, which you did? Now, before you answer, yeah, we already know our way around this argument. You seem like a novice with it.
This ain't one of Bev's peoples. That shit's just spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, it's okay. Give him a chance. Don't be shy. Don't let the other predators scare you off. Yeah, do you want to tell us about how you can describe a wave as being 40 foot? Does it have some sort of reference to give us that height with respect to? Second time's a charm. He scurried away into the brush. You're going to need a flat earth for that 40-foot wave. Excuse me, do you want to tell me
Yeah,
it's
we
not
call
flat?
it mean sea level.
The guy was in the middle of telling me it's not flat because of 40-foot waves described with respect to a horizontal plane. The horizontal plane that's not flat, that you'll describe the 40-foot wave with respect to. Sorry, you were saying? Not flat, you say? Because of how flat you can describe it with respect to, that 40-foot wave, that is? My bad. Was I interrupting the argument that I know better than you do? How flat it isn't with respect to how flat it is seems a bit stupid. No? No more? He scurried away into the brush. Shy little creatures that want to say Earth's not flat based on how flat it is. Utterly absurd. Just in case you're still listening, little squirrel, Bev's brainwashed you. Don't give him money. Yeah, he's making you look stupid. Yeah? With stupid claims about how Earth isn't flat because of how things move up and down with respect to how flat it is. Oh my God. Bev is embarrassing for you when you face people like us who understand his stupid, pathetic argument.
It is pretty bad. But I don't think that's Bev's boy. But yeah, that shit's spreading like wildfire though. So
Hey, Nathan, why don't you go get banned again?
Banned from where?
From Discord.
I've never been banned.
Yeah, you have. What happened to your server in the fall of 22?
I haven't got a server. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you did, liar. You got banned from Discord. Why are you back?
Number one, I don't own a server. I have not been banned from Discord ever. Why are you lying?
Yeah, you have. I'm liar. Why is your account
Sorry, can
only
someone mute this
created
guy?
in
He's now
22?
swearing at me. I have not been banned from Discord. That is a lie. This guy's a liar. So to smear me, my server's been... I haven't got a server. Meanwhile, I have the same account as I have always had with the same number attached to it because I have not been banned from Discord ever. What, some server was taken down? That weren't me. I don't own a server. I've never started one. This isn't my server. Neither is any server I've ever been in my server. So how could my server have been taken down? It hasn't. This guy's a lying scumbag who's come to smear me, it seems, with lies about being banned. I haven't been banned. That's an outright lie by a scumbag. Not true. Same account, same number, never registered twice, never been banned. Liar. Get lost, liar. Was it because you didn't like me proving Earth was measured flat that you had to smear my good name about being banned from Discord when I haven't? Smear my good name because I prove Earth's measured flat? That's an ad hominem attack and a lie. Is that all you've got because I prove Earth's measured flat to smear me with lies? What an outrage. Not true.
Ironically, he's been banned from here several times. That's not even his real name. His name's Gambino.
It's
He was on your show once.
projection. So he projected the fact that he, the scumbag liar, has been banned from Discord multiple times. I have not, sir. Liar. Yeah, get over the fact that you get banned often because you're a scumbag. I don't. I'm still here on a server that isn't mine. None of them are mine. I've never had a server taken down. I've never started a server.
The first time I heard that guy was on your show, he came in with this robotic monotone voice and just kept spitting globe rhetoric. And QE had to ask him what his favorite color was. Remember that?
I can't remember yesterday's
You guys thought it was like a recording?
Vaguely.
I'd like to ask a question, please. How is a circle of equal altitude calculated?
Calculated? No, it's measured with an elevation angle.
No, how do they physically go about determining the circle of equal altitude?
Take an angle to a star minus from 90 times by 60. That gives you the distance, therefore the radial value.
Right.
Then you draw a circle.
The circle of equal altitude.
Was the end of the answer to your question concise though it was in requirement of the interruption that you try so desperately not to do according to our last encounter? I was in the middle of answering your question, Brenda.
Man, what is this?
A circle of equal altitude is
Was I wrong? Was I wrong? Did you just want to ignore what I replied to you with? Was I wrong?
Yeah,
a circle of equal altitude
Oh, it doesn't
is
seem
that
doesn't seem to
angle.
get any acknowledgement. She asked me a direct question and I answered it. It was interrupted at the end, and then it had zero acknowledgement. Did the answer scare you, Brenda? Maybe acknowledge
Angles of elevation are calculated from the perpendicular
Measured.
to your
Measured.
location.
Measured. They're not calculated. They're measured.
They're measured from the perpendicular to your location.
Well, that means Earth's flat.
No, it doesn't.
So 90 degrees to the star, perpendicular to your position, that's flat. 90 degrees
No,
below the star.
perpendicular
Excuse
is-
me, I'm still talking. Is this you trying not to interrupt, like you've been so keen not to do because you're so polite and that? No, you're not. You're rude, Brenda. Very rude. I'll try again. 90 degrees to your position below the star. So if you've got an angle of, I don't know, 10 degrees off the horizon, then you've got thousands of miles between you and the position beneath the star at 90 degrees to your position. That's an elevation angle measurement, not calculation, Brenda, not calculation. Measurement along a flat Earth. It can only be a flat Earth, otherwise you wouldn't have 90 degrees below the star, which is potentially thousands of miles away, to your position, for it to be a right-angled triangle. Now that elevation angle measurement is minus from 90 and times by 60 to give you the radial value of the circle of equal elevation. Nice to get to the end of the answer of the question that you asked and didn't acknowledge the answer of earlier, Brendan. Thank you for letting me get to the end of it this time. So do you understand? Flat Earth
Yes, I
required?
understand.
90? You understand it needs 90? That's flat Earth. You understand that, yeah?
It's perpendicular from your location.
Yeah, to 90 degrees below the star.
No, from
No?
your location.
No? Excuse
Correct.
me. That's incorrect, Brenda. The GP is 90 degrees to your position. Do you not understand celestial navigation?
I'm not talking about the GP.
I
I'm
am.
talking about the angle
I
of
am, because
elevation.
that's part of the angle measurement, isn't it? That's what we're doing when you asked about the circle of equal
No, it's
elevation and how
not.
we measure it, Brenda. That's part of the measurement that you asked me about and didn't acknowledge the answer to. The GP is fundamental to that. You're drawing a radial value to its GP. So it's fundamental, Brenda. And that GP, something you wanted to skirt away from, scary maybe, has got 90 degrees to your position along a flat Earth that's being measured with this angle. 90 degrees to your position, thousands of miles of flat Earth, Brenda. Do you not acknowledge 90 degrees at the GP? Do you deny the 90, Brenda? Shh, don't mention 90.
Angles of elevation are not 90 degrees.
No, the
Is your
GP position, Brenda.
perpendicular at eye level?
The
No, I'm
GP
talking
Is-
about the
is your
angle of elevation.
perpendicular at eye level? Is the perpendicular you're speaking of at your perp level or at surface level?
It's 90 degrees from your zenith.
Yes, that's a flat Earth.
Is
Then.
that at your eye level?
Then it's a
or
flat Earth.
surface level.
Hold on, just don't need to walk past it. Then it's 90 degrees to a flat plane because that's what you're measuring. The point below the star.
No, you're not measuring to surface level. You're measuring to a perpendicular from your vertical where you are to say 20 degrees above that perpendicular.
So it's a flat
That's
Earth.
how
then.
angles of
flat Earth
elevation
then.
are calculated.
So it's a flat Earth then.
Well, no, your eye
Your
isn't
eye
flat
level.
Earth.
Eye level. Right, your eye level, right? Say eye level because you're using your eye to measure this angle, right? Eye level?
Right, the perpendicular at your eye level that is formed from the zenith
right.
at your eye level.
You just finished yourself. Well, so level's perpendicular. Gotcha.
So Earth's flat.
No, your perpendicular is your eye level, right? And angles of elevation are like, say, 20 degrees from that 90-degree angle formed
90?
at your zenith.
Yeah, 90 degrees below the GP. That's the position below the star. That's where you're trying to draw out. You asked me about a circle of equal elevation and how you measure it. I answered you and you didn't acknowledge it. Now you seem to be wanting to deny that there's 90 at the GP. Why would you want to deny a fundamental premise of what ground positions have on this triangle? 90 degrees to your position.
Yeah, circles of equal altitude have nothing to do with the GP.
So the fact that you're measuring with a GP and drawing out a circle of equal elevation with respect
No.
to the... is this you being really polite? Is this you super polite to me, Talking through the middle of it? Scary, maybe? Brenda? Higher pitch, maybe? There is definitely 90 degrees to your position at the GP, Brenda.
No, that's not how you measure a circle of equal elevation.
Oh, tell us
That's
how you
not
measure
how
it.
it's done.
Okay, you tell us then. How do you measure a circle of equal elevation?
Right, a circle of equal elevation is that circle formed by those places on the Earth where the angle of elevation to the celestial object is the same. So it's 20 degrees elevation, let's say, from those points on the Earth, forms a circle of equal elevation. It has nothing to do with the GP that's formed later.
So
Angles
all
of
you've done,
elevation.
Okay. So all you've done so far is describe a flat Earth, though, Brenda.
No, it doesn't follow.
How does it not follow that what you've drawn out in terms of angles, straight lines, and areas of equal elevation isn't areas of equal elevation, also known as equal altitude, circles of equal altitude? They're equal altitude. Equal.
Because I'll tell you why.
I haven't quite finished. They're equal in elevation. They are equal in altitude, Brenda.
Yeah, because the angle formed at your eye, which is taken from zenith, isn't necessarily the surface of the Earth. That's begging the question. You're presupposing your answer.
So why would we be doing this then? Why would we be following this process if it's not the surface of Earth? What were we navigating exactly?
We're navigating the Earth, yes.
So it's simultaneously us finding our position on the Earth and navigating the Earth, but it also has nothing to do with the Earth, these areas of equal elevation. That's areas that have the same elevation. Those have nothing to do with the Earth when they're... Is this the third time you've interrupted this? This is you being super polite, isn't it, Brenda? Like you told me in the politics server. You're trying really hard and failing to be... And failing miserably because you're incredibly rude. Yeah? Bullish. Yeah? Aggressive. Like full of testosterone. Just calm down, Brenda. Yeah? I'm talking about areas of equal elevation that you've just denied having anything to do with the Earth, even though when I ask you what we're doing this for, it's navigating Earth. You seem to be in cognitive dissonance there. Why would that be?
Yeah, angles don't have baselines.
Elevation angles do.
No, they don't. Triangles have baselines. Angles only have rays.
Angles only have rays. Okay, thanks for that, Brenda. I'll take that under advisement.
Right. The angle is formed by the ray coming from the vertex, which is at your eye, right?
Brenda, just to be clear, is a ray curving to make an angle?
Is a what?
Is a ray curving?
No, they do not curve.
So your eye level does not curve. Good job, Brenda. Level doesn't curve. You made it.
It's a line of sight. It's a line of sight to the. It's a line of sight to the celestial object, taken from zenith. Either subtract from the zenith or add from the perpendicular to your point where you are.
I see. And what tool would you measure this with?
How do you have perpendicular in the sphere?
I'm asking you something. What tool would you measure this zenith with?
Sextant.
I see. And what part of the sextant, what mirror would you look at?
The horizon mirror.
That doesn't sound like it's giving me a zenith. It sounds like zenith is something above my head coming down directly through my head, but you say we look at a horizon mirror to get a zenith. I would suggest that that would be establishing a horizontal plane with the horizon as opposed to a zenith angle, as you're inferring. You seem to constantly affirm that we are measuring from zenith. No. As you've just clearly pointed out, the tool measures the horizon. It doesn't measure an angle from a zenith. So it seems that you are fundamentally incorrect about how we measure these angles. So we're measuring them with respect to the horizon then. That would be a straight, flat Earth established with the horizon, not with a zenith, as you've said about 4 times. So could you concede now that we're not measuring it with a zenith, we're measuring it with the frickin' horizon because we're using the horizon mirror, correct? Don't need to affirm.
If that's
you don't
if
need to
that's
affirm.
true,
You don't need to affirm. You're disingenuous. You said we're measuring it from zenith. Liar. Horizon.
if
Liar.
that's true,
Horizon. Liar. You're not looking at the zenith mirror, you abject liar. You disgust me.
if that's true, then
Hold on.
why?
It is true. What do you mean if?
it's true,
You told
if
me,
it's true-
Horizon Mirror, if it's true, after lying about zenith angles. Liar, you disgust me with your bullish,
Then why
over
is it
testosterone
subtracted?
charged, constant interruptions with your lies and deceit about zenith angles. Zenith angle with a horizon mirror. Absurd lies from a disingenuous scumbag liar. Don't lie to me anymore, Brenda. Your time in this discussion's over. Don't repeatedly tell the
why
audience.
is it
Don't
subtracted? Why is the
repeatedly
dip
tell my audience that you're measuring zenith angles. And then when I ask how, with a horizon mirror, you disingenuous liar.
Then why is the dip
Don't ask me
horizon
something, you
subtracted?
disingenuous liar. You've just lied to my audience. You're not
Why is it
measuring
subtracted?
zenith angles, liar. Is
Answer
that
the
not
question.
clear? You don't need to
Answer
keep
the
talking
question.
through me.
Answer me.
Get
Answer
a bit
the
more,
question.
Get more aggressive for me. You just get
Answer the
that
question.
testosterone flowing for us, Brenda, with your
Yeah,
aggression that
answer
you're
the
trying
question.
so hard to contain. Is this you
Why is
attempting
the
so
dip
hard
subtracted?
to remain
Nathan?
calm with me? Is it there, Brenda? Is this you remaining nice and calm? Try and be
Why
a
is
bit
the
more
dip
ladylike.
subtracted?
Excuse me, I'm talking about how much you lied about zenith angles. You don't get a zenith angle from a horizon mirror. You're a disingenuous liar. Don't
Why
ask
is the
me
dip
anything. I don't want to be
subtracted?
asked anything from disingenuous
No,
liars.
try
Isn't that
harder.
clear?
Why is the dip
Don't ask
subtracted?
me anything. I am done with your disingenuous
Yeah, you don't-
behaviour.
you
You're
can't
not
explain
going
it,
to
'cause
ask
you
me
know that you're
anything. You
lying.
don't have the permission you require anymore, Brenda.
You know that you're a liar.
Excuse me. Somebody telling my audience over and over again that we have a zenith angle, and then when asked how you acquire it, you say from a horizon mirror, it makes you the liar. And now you need
Why
to
is the
project
dip-
that
why is
lie
the dip
onto me.
subtracted?
Excuse me, I'm not being
Why is the
asked
dip
anything
subtracted?
by you. You're a scumbag.
Why
You're a
is
liar.
the dip subtracted?
Sorry, I don't
Nathan.
want to talk to you anymore, Brenda. I know you want
I know
my
you don't
attention.
want to answer this question because
I
it
don't
shows
want
that
your
you're
attention
lying
anymore.
about what
Go
an angle
away.
of elevation
Go away,
is.
vile liar. I don't want to be in your presence anymore. Go away.
May I address this though? Because what she's talking about is the elevation angle is measured from the horizontal. The zenith angle, which you will develop your circle of equal elevation, is subtracted from 90. That angle you just measured, you subtract it from 90 to get your area of equal elevation.
Precisely as I
That
told her
still
originally when
requires
she
a flat plane.
originally, yes, that's correct. I just want to drop in that when she originally asked how it was done, that's precisely what I told her, and she ignored it completely, didn't she?
Yes, and the thing is, you're calculating the distance using that measured angle subtracted from 90. It still requires a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the
Isn't the
does it
dip
matter?
angle? Isn't the dip angle eye height above the level that you are?
Go on.
Yeah,
Fine.
he's the height above the GP. It's a straight line from you to the GP that you need to correct from.
Yeah, and it's the eye height above the level plane that you are going to.
Yeah.
That's correct, because you are above the GP line. You need to correct for it.
Yes. So that's your answer, Brenda. It's just your eye height above the level plane.
Not
Thank you.
necessarily. I mean, you can use a artificial level or a bubble sextant, but under the premise that the surface level is parallel with that line that you draw out artificially. Or alternatively, you can use the horizon. What's that? We're measuring zenith angles. No, she's a liar.
Right. The only time you can claim zenith angles is if you're somewhere you can drop like a plumb bob. But the zenith angle is still dependent upon forming a 90 with the surface below you. It's its orientation with relation to the surface of Earth that gives you that 90 to do this. The fact that they appeal to it as if it's some kind of defense, it's a red herring to begin with, but it's not a red herring that helps them. It still requires a flat plane.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Any
Nathan,
more?
I just wanted to mention earlier the gentleman that had trouble understanding the 40-foot wave versus a 5-foot wave. And his conclusion was the Earth can't be level. He doesn't understand the established level average above the textured surface of the water. And it's the same thing with other people who've been brainwashed to believe we're on a globe. They don't understand that just because Denver is 5,000 feet and all areas near the ocean are sea level, you have to take the average of the entire plane above the textured Earth. It doesn't mean that it's not flat. It is flat.
The fact that you have to go through that at all is embarrassing, if you ask me. You're absolutely correct, first of all, yeah. But the fact that we have to say, what? You think that by suggesting that we have a flat Earth, that I'm suggesting we no longer have any topographical changes? Really? You really want me to argue against this? You're going to really burn this straw man? Okay, fine. Well, but what am I talking about? Bev's made a whole channel about it.
Right. And then one more thought, and I'm going to pass the mic. Every body of water, in my opinion, because I've been a flat earther for 2 years, a swimming pool, a lake, all of those are at the same angle. Even if they're 50 miles apart, 1,000 miles apart, when water finds its rest, it's showing you the same level water. And then Globers will argue, like, you can't say that about a cup of water, and they're talking about surface tension and all that. But I think it's amazing that when you let any body of water settle at rest, it's showing you the same angle across the entire plane.
Well, it's used in building. It's a principle as opposed to, well, I keep forgetting the word, it's axiomatic. So that principle is utilized as opposed to us observing that principle. People have observed it and now use it in practical application to build things. When they level them, they can use water to level them. That's what it's used for. So again, moving into 2024, when it comes to these examples, the straw man that only yesterday we watched Bob and Planet Peterson set up was, well, water finding and maintaining level, what a joke. And then the straw man response from Bob was, oh, well, if it looks level, it is level. Excuse me a sec. Which is kind of what you've just said. No offense. But why not just rest on the fact that that's actually a principle that's utilized when measuring Earth? So lean on the measurement factor rather than the appearance factor, because they want to attack that as the straw man that's been set up in that regard. Like, no. These are things that are practically applied to Earth. Level water being one of them.
I mean, they got whole cities.
Yeah,
I found a
they wanna-
citation. I found a citation the other day that says they have, in planar surveying, because somebody told me they would never use rise over run to, a smart surveyor wouldn't use rise over run. However, they have whole cities laid out using planar surveying, off a flat plane.
Yep. They need a flat
Well,
Earth
even
more than we do.
geodesic survey.
Go ahead, John.
Why
Well,
do we
even
need the mean sea level? Sorry, I was going to say, why do we need a mean sea level? Surely, how do we determine the mean sea level at the UK? At the moment, it's Newland, which is the southwest. So, if we have a level, and why do we need a mean? We have a level. Everyone knows what naught meters above sea level is. So why would there be a mean if it's zero everywhere? Because surely it would be zero everywhere, shouldn't it?
Because it changes. Because you have to take an average over long periods of time to get mean sea level.
Yeah, but if you surely dictate that sea level is 0 meters, then everyone sets it to 0 meters. Why would you need a mean? If you think about it and you say it's a mean sea level,
You need a mean, bro. I just told you why you need a mean, because there's tides and waves, so you have to get an average of it to get a mean sea level.
Okay, so if you set it for America, where is America set its mean sea level? And how has it set its mean sea level? Because surely, yes, you got tides, this, then the other, but if you work out what it would be without tides, I don't think you even need that, because for the UK, where we've set ours, is down by the coast at sea level. So it's no different, is it?
man.
Unless you've done a mean landing. Huh?
It's just a benchmark. It's just a benchmark. It's a reference point that it doesn't move. It's stationary. It's there that you can refer to, rather than being always referring to the sea level. Because, like it's been pointed out to you, this mean sea level is in reference to sea level. It's just a benchmark that all the elevations are going to be referred to.
Right, but if you exclude the inland areas that are under the sea level, and that's just down to what happened within the land, if you eradicate that, you wouldn't have a mean sea level. You would have sea level. So if you start including the areas that are below sea level that are within the boundaries of the land, you're gonna fucking get wrong answers every single time, or the answers that you want.
Dude, what the hell dude, we get mean sea level, we take an average over time, very long periods of time. We get an average sea level because the sea level is always changing. There's tides, there's waves. They have to do it over long periods of time. Now we have mean sea level. Do you understand that?
I don't think
you're confusing. Pardon me, sir. I can explain this to you. You're taking the reference plane, right, which you're talking about with sea level that changes, is your reference plane. Mean sea level is like your source document that your citation of reference will come from. You understand that? So you're saying all these different horizontal planes average to this mean sea level. You're still You're still dealing with Earth as a horizontal plane, and you're measuring it from that mean sea. All right, you don't hear it.
Right. So if we forget about this mean sea level, and I say to you, what is your sea level in America, and I'll tell you what my sea level is in UK. What's yours going to be?
Sorry, what you're doing is you're
zero.
okay, guys, can I just answer him?
It's zero, surely.
Hold on. You're segregating off a principle that's been established and measured, an average, to give us a 0 point, as John just explained to you, and saying, well, if I get rid of that, what will you give me over in America compared to what I measure here in the UK? Like, well, your starting point that you said, well, these points that are below inland, well, below what? You've got to have a reference point measured in the first instance to get a arbitrarily ascribed 0, as you described it. What's 0 inland? What are you saying is below 0 inland? Well, that's only
I
been.
said
my bad.
Listen,
My bad. It's like you don't want the answers.
Right, stop. So I said we don't include the areas inland that are below sea level.
It's because they're not. It's because they're inland. When you're averaging a sea level, you're not going to do it inland, are you?
Exactly. So then why would we need a mean if America is the same as the UK?
You've had the average. You've had the answer given to you 4 times.
Yeah, dude, you can't do anything without getting an average. Otherwise, if you go out there, the sea level is going to be constantly changing. One day your building's this tall, the next day your building has a different elevation. Mountain elevations will just be changing from minute to minute. What are you talking about? Oakley, did you have something else?
Well, I could take places that don't. I could take places that don't have tides and set it from there. I could go to the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Me and you could shake a hand and say, East Hemisphere, West Hemisphere, we'll shake a hand at the sea level at this island. But then it's going to be the same anyway.
There are tidal nodes that have no tides. I hear you on that.
Okay, so is your point that it's arbitrary? We've decided on this convention based on measuring how high or low seas are as an average. Yeah, it is. It's arbitrary. Yes. Okay.
The mean sea, if the actual sea level was 2 meters different to what it should be, would that change your perspective of what we've seen in the sky by 2 meters? It could be 4, it could be 10 meters. If you go down to Bournemouth Beach, you see that Bournemouth Beach has been lifted up at least 10 meters, right? So the question is, what is the actual sea level? And surely it's all going to be the same. Yes, you know, you tides, this, and the other, but we can unreverse that and incorporate things like, well, we know it's happening, blah, 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 and we'll get the actual sea level. So to have a mean sea level, what are we meaning it's against?
Okay.
It's
So
it's
to
really
answer
basic.
okay, let me
really
answer your
basic.
question. Okay, in terms of it being arbitrary, yes. Okay, you can describe it in that way if you wish. In terms of what use it is, you asked about what difference does it make to the sky. But it doesn't. So long as you've got an arbitrarily ascribed 0 point that you all agree on, that's an average of all of the level ocean that you're going to be travelling on, give or take, then it makes no difference whatsoever to the measurements of the celestial items that you'll be using to navigate. It will always work with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. Hence, navigation has no elevation changes. They aren't necessary. As long as you can establish what you're going to use to level your tool, if it's the horizon, then you need to know how high you are above it. But beyond that, everywhere's level. Now, like I say, because you've been told 5 times now, the oceans are going up and down as you go out and around the world. So you need an average to arbitrarily ascribe a 0. It wouldn't matter if what we call 0 turned out to be 1. And you're saying, well, the points inland that I measure, if I compare that to the average taken globally of sea level, what I've got at this coast is a metre higher. Now, if I said, okay, let's all shake hands around the world and agree that that's 0 now, what was 1, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, so I'll just tell you. So the last time I looked up, it said the average land elevation across the world was 800 meters above, right? So it's surely, I know obviously it's got nothing to do with land, but surely that's a more definitive answer without any fluctuations, right? And doing this and doing that. So all I was
Of
trying to
what?
say is that if you're
Above
taking your
what?
measurements,
Yeah, it's like with the waves.
of what?
Above what? You're saying 800 meters. The average is 800
Is the
meters.
average land elevation. The average sea elevation
Stop.
is about 2.4.
Yeah, stop. The average land elevation has been derived with the average of the sea elevation. So when you say the average land elevation, it's dependent on that measurement that gave you the arbitrary 0 point, what we call mean sea level. So to describe that 800 feet in the first instance, you've got to have a level to describe it from as an average of the heights overall. You still need a level reference plane to describe this land. And it doesn't matter where you put the 0. It doesn't make any difference.
You're having trouble distinguishing between the source plane, which is your mean sea level, and your plane of reference. You're not understanding the difference, and you keep asserting that it's somehow relevant. I'm sorry, wrong.
There are no elevation changes in navigation. Everything runs parallel to the ground. Regardless of if the sea's a bit higher at that particular moment, your measurements for the points on the ground, GP positions for the stars that you'll navigate with, are always parallel to the ground. If you draw an artificial horizon and you're at 30,000 feet, the measurement you take is still parallel to the ground in all instances. So where 0 is, or the average of the sea, because the land, well, where do you say where 0 is? Sometimes the sea's above that bit of land, but sometimes it's below it. So what? You need an average then, because you can't arbitrarily ascribe it. And the water moves up and down. So you get a general idea to agree by consensus that we'll call this 0. Not that it makes any difference. If I decided to call what you call 0 5, it wouldn't make any measurement differences when I went out at sea to measure my angles to stars. The process would be identical regardless of what I decided to arbitrarily ascribe as 5 for sea level, rather than 1 or 0 or -1. It doesn't make any difference because everything's running parallel to the ground.
This might be because he's mistaking celestial navigation for trigonometry. I think that might be where his misunderstanding is coming. You're not trying to figure out the height of the stars or trig out that function. You're not doing that with celestial navigation.
Right. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Heard to take that. How are you gonna do surveying on a boat?
Surely they're above sea level, though, to be a node.
Well, you take
I don't
you
know.
take
It's a
the
place with no tide. It's a
you
place
can use
with
a
no
section.
tide, so it should be. No, those tidal nodes are a place where there's no tide. So I mean, shouldn't it be mean sea level? I don't know. I'm just saying, as far as an arbitrary place to set sea level, that seems like a fine one.
My sister lived in Sweden for a few years, and their sea level only went up and down by a couple of inches, 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah, some
Well,
places there's very little change. Some places there's a very drastic change.
But do you think that would be down to the gravitational waves? Because the Maldives, which is southwest of India, the Maldives are about 1 meter elevation, and they reckon it's not going to be there in the near future. And it's an island. It's a vacation island.
Before you go too far, what's a gravity wave? I don't know. You started your sentence off with that. What does that even mean?
You know that chart when you look at the world map and you say the gravitation world map, and it shows you like red spots and then blue spots, where then the blue spots are where the gravitation is the least, which is near southwest.
So gravity waves are blue spots on a map. What's a gravity wave?
Oh, the force of gravity. The force of gravity. How about that?
There isn't a force
It's
of
not.
gravity.
No force.
Not a force.
You should know about this. You guys talk about this all the time. You know, where there's more gravity, the gravity field or the magnetic field, whatever.
Yes, the magnetic field. Yes.
Yeah, but it's not the magnetic field. It's the gravity field. Is it? Or is it the magnetic?
Pardon me. When you say gravity, weight changes, correct? You're talking about changes in weight.
You look in these maps and you'll see that India, there's a big area southwest of India in the sea that has the lowest tall. I don't know what these things are called. Teslas. I thought it was just general knowledge.
If it's Tesla, it's a magnet. If it's a magnet, it's not gravity. Otherwise, we measure gravity with a magnet. Thanks.
Guys,
No.
Hello, John's question wasn't
magnetic
Guy,
anomalies.
hello, Guy. He said these areas on your map are illustrating differences in weight, are they not? I didn't get an answer.
Well, I couldn't confirm that because otherwise you would get the change from the poles to the equator.
Okay. You don't need to keep waffling. I don't know is sufficient. That's fine. That's fine.
Don't tell me that. I have to listen to you, so you listen to me. Thanks.
What, not knowing? Okay, I'm done listening to you not knowing. You don't know the answer. We know that you don't know. You've just confirmed you don't know, but I should sit and listen to you not knowing more. Should you want to waffle on about how much you don't know a bit more?
Magnetic anomalies.
No, that's not correct. No.
The South Atlantic anomalies.
Sorry, Guy, you've already told us you don't know, but yet you're going to tell me to shut up so you can waffle on about how much you don't know a bit more. I've already confirmed you don't know. No. What you thought was force maps, because that's what you said you thought it was incorrect. Gravity is not a force, end quote, George Musa. There isn't really a force of gravity at all, end quote, Professor Brian Cox. So your misapprehensions about this map demonstrating forces of gravity is wrong. Okay?
I remembered. Jesus, mate, don't fucking hold me to it.
He needs to just kick this guy out. He can't stop swearing when he's demonstrated to be a moron.
You sound like a teacher.
Kick him out. I am your teacher. You thought there was a force on these maps. Then you declared that you didn't understand what they were. Now I'm telling you how wrong you are. Yeah, I am your teacher. Have some respect. Don't swear at me.
Can I explain to him what they are?
Feel free.
Well, what those maps are trying to show you is changes in relative weight in these places. That's where you would associate them with gravity. It's called the Atmos effect. I don't know if you understand what that means, but it's a change in weight. But weight is a linear downward vector, not mass attracting mass, not the bending of space-time.
The utmost effect could attribute to some weight changes. However, I've seen places where they just drop something nonstop, and even in one location, it seems that it falls at different rates.
Again, I hate to do this to you because I'm going to sound patronising. Same thing happened for someone else earlier, Jeremy, with George. So the rhetoric going forth into 2024 isn't necessarily to unpack the Epphos effect, and I commend you for your exemplary knowledge in that regard, right? Because I'm not saying you're wrong. What I am saying is John's just pointed out how a linear downward bias, that's a weight change, is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, because down in the vertical will always be with respect to horizontal. Ergo, anything that you hear that has the word up or down from a globe believer automatically requires a flat earth be measured to make the assertion. Like sea level for the altitude changes, that's up. Yeah? So George earlier pegged them and went, you're going to need a flat earth for that, because the up that you're describing is with respect to sea level. Yeah? This is no different. Epphos effect, what? How much more down there is in certain areas? You're going to need a flat earth for that. It's a subtle difference, but again, it's a subtle difference that requires brass balls to say Earth's measured flat. But you better damn well know it is actually measured flat to get away with it, because you've got to have the confidence in knowing what you say is true, to know, even if you haven't heard the example before, that there's a route in. And I'm saying this as an amateur, right? Because I miss them all the time, right? So I'm feigning like I'm educating you. I'm on the shoulders of greats when I say this to you, right, Jeremy? Because I miss them all the time. But every example that comes out of a globe believer's mouth is going to require a flat plane. And to my amusement, my panel around me, George and now John, catch them where I miss them. This is just another example of it. Your downward bias for Epphos effect requires a flat earth.
In other words, on a sphere there is inwards and outwards.
Yep. But that's not how it's described. And you can't describe things like a linear downward bias, which is what we actually experience if we put something in disequilibrium, aka drop a solid through air. It's going to be going down, isn't it? Yeah. With respect to a plumb bob, it's just going to follow that path. It's not going in towards a sphere, but their paradigm doesn't allow for down. Like all things globe related, they need a flat plane. And they always will. There's always going to be a flat plane being measured at some point for all of their claims. In this case, this is a new one, right, John? When did this last come up? Epphos effect. You're going to need a flat earth for that. I wasn't expecting that today. Love it. Kudos.
Yeah, I got to thinking about it because of weight, and then they claim the Atmos effect, which they associate with their force of gravity, and then they create maps that are based on this Atmos effect. And that's what he was actually referencing. He didn't understand how to articulate it. But yeah, he's claiming that in these different areas, the force pulling everything down, which is only possible on a flat plane, is different. Even though there is no force, and we're certainly not experiencing space and time bending as a concept. So what are they actually describing?
I'm willing to bet the map itself. Oh, sorry, I thought that was a question. When you say what's it describing, I'm willing to bet the map itself is describing a latitude and longitude system that's been measured on a flat Earth too, to give accurate descriptions of the geographical locations of these claimed Epphos effect downward biases increasing or decreasing. So I'm willing to bet that the downward bias needs a flat Earth, and so does the map that it's presented on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Cartesian system is based.
Hello.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I don't know what you're talking about, that space-time stuff. Do I got to get Brenda in here and have her measure your kitchen table and figure out how much space-time is in it?
It's interesting, that example, actually, when you talk about a table. Brian, he pointed this out to me a couple of weeks ago. Whenever you see an example depicted of space-time, just visualize this with me, right? You see a grid that's bent into like a well shape and then a hovering ball above the well. Can you all visualize that as a depiction of bent 4D space-time, yeah? Alternatively, if you can't visualize that, they sometimes do a practical example where they stretch out a blue sheet of rubber and then throw a ball into the middle of it and then say that the bent rubber is effectively an example of space-time. Are you following along so far, yeah? Yes, Nathan, we're all following along. Wonderful. I'm glad you're all following along. So that example is merely a hijacking of a third dimension that we already experience. So you can't depict a fourth dimension. There isn't one. We've already laboured that point on Flat Earth Debate, right? But how do they conjure one? Well, they take an existing dimension, the third dimension. So when we've previously covered this, we said that they do it by taking you to a conceptual place where you're two-dimensional on a sheet of paper, and how, as a two-dimensional piece of paper, you couldn't imagine the third dimension. But as a third-dimensional entity, you can't experience, and therefore can only conceptualize, the fourth dimension of space-time. But when they depict it, and indeed in Einstein's maths, this is the more important point, the depiction of the, let's call it the x-axis of space-time, isn't actually anything more than a third depth dimension in Euclidean 3 space. In other words, they can't engineer in a fourth dimension. There isn't one. So they just take an existing third dimension, and that's exactly how it's drawn when they show you a visual representation. And when they show you the bent rubber, that's how it's shown to be existing. They're literally physically bending one of the three dimensions you exist in, the rubber, in one axis, and saying that's space-time. That's how the maths works. That's how Einstein's maths actually does it in his convolution.
Yeah, there's only 3 spatial dimensions. It's funny when they try to work for the time into the 4th dimension and have it be spatial. It's very, very weird. But yeah, you can only get 3 spatial dimensions. That's it. That's all there is.
Right, but they assert that down is the direction that time flows.
Yep.
So down is only relative to a flat plane. Einstein's mathematics are depending upon you measuring a flat Earth.
They sometimes hinted it as well in the spacey programs where they talk about the universe being on a plane. That's why.
Asymptotically flat, yeah.
Right. I can never remember that word. It's a great word. Asymptotic. Say it again.
Asymptotically flat.
Asymptotically flat. Yeah. That's how they describe the universe in Einsteinian fourth dimensional space-time. It is literally just one of the axes of Euclidean described as a time dimension. But you can't extrapolate that which doesn't exist into the mathematics either. It's describing that which can be described. Well, you can only take from the 3 dimensions that exist, and that's exactly what Einstein did. And then when you reify that into physical reality, you just bend the down, like in the rubber. That's all you're doing. It's pathetic when you actually break it down. When Brian broke that down for me, I was quite shocked because of the amount of times I've seen the visual representation of it. And you go, well, even as a flat earther, I justify their position by going, oh, well, on a 2D screen with a 3D rendering, they're going to struggle to show 4D space-time, right? So that's the limitations of art. In other words, I'm making excuses for them. And you're like, no, that is how they distort the world into a 4D space-time exactly as it's depicted. That's how the maths works. It's nuts, huh? It's all meaningless as well.
Yeah, I unmuted Brenda if you want.
Right. It's all meaningless as well because we having bent geodesics described to us just so you can move the scale 1. So instead of me sitting here being at 0, me sitting here has got 1G acting on me. Now, that actual explanation would allude to there being a force holding me to a water ball. You haven't got a force of gravity. 4D space-time isn't a force, by Einstein's own admission in his pseudo-geometry. But you still need one. So you've got to have this whole nonsense about bent geodesics just to get away from the fact that the equivalence principle has you at 1g when you're doing nothing, and at 0 when you're floating around in a presuppositional orbit. That's the only reason we've got the convoluted gaggle screw of 4D space-time. To give you a non-force force that you can think of as a force. That's it.
Nathan, I have a question. I'm sorry, my voice is a little rough today, guys. Why do you call it a water ball when it's made up of more than more land than water? You know what I'm saying? If you drain the oceans, there's still more mass than the planet than the oceans. It's not a water ball. There's water on a ball.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, but the planet's not made of water. You say it's a water ball, but it's not really a water ball. It's a ball with water on the surface.
It's not a water ball. It's a ball with water. Who cares? It's not real.
Exactly.
It's not real.
Okay, I know. But if it's, but words do matter. You keep saying it's a water ball, so that implies it's like a balloon that it's full of water.
Yeah, that's how you'd have to have a ball of water, as opposed to a football with water sticking to the outside of it, which is absurd.
Well, yeah,
just
that's
a
absurd.
clarification. Magma and everything below the mantle is described as being fluid. So yeah, it's still
Didn't hear a word of that.
Ball.
Didn't hear a word of that, John. You're breaking up really badly. I don't describe it that way. I mean, who cares how I describe it? It's your religion. Describe it however you want. You believe in it. If you feel offended that I've described your religion incorrectly, I'm really sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't come across as offended. I'm just stating a point. You always say it's a water ball, as because I think that you're trying to use that and say, oh, look, it's just a water ball. But there's way more going on that explains why the water is on the ball.
Test.
Water
you
isn't
call it a gas ball,
water doesn't
whatever.
stick to balls, does it?
Yeah.
But when
Would you agree, Nathan? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Test.
I was just say water doesn't stick to balls, though, does it?
Well, I have a question for you. So we all agree that water takes the shape of a container, right? I think that's universally a given. Water takes the shape of a container. If that is true, then when a raindrop is falling through the air, it's taking the shape of its container. Guess what shape it's taking? The shape of a globe.
Do you think that water when
You think
falling is
what?
contained? What do you mean? Water when falling isn't contained?
It is contained. It's contained within the Earth's atmosphere. That is the container. And the fact that it's round and it's falling round, not flat or a diamond or a Chinese star or an elephant, it's falling around from a globe, from a globule. That proves that gravity is pushing on all sides of the globe as it falls through the air. And it proves gravity and it proves the shape of its container. The container, you already agreed, water takes the shape of its container. Why is it taking the shape of a globe if it's not on a globe?
But atmosphere, you said, was
Well,
the
first of
container.
all, you don't know the.
So is atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, unbonded gas a container? It isn't. You also asserted.
Why is the raindrop taking the shape of a globe?
Hold on, Rob.
Sentence.
Rob, hold on.
So no, atmosphere is not a container. But what you're utilizing is something known as the fallacy of division, taking what is true of part as true of the whole. So when you say an aspect of water when falling is, according to you, containment in atmosphere, oxymoron, sphere-shaped air, it isn't. But therefore, we can have the Earth as a sphere in violation of natural law with gases not filling sky vacuums with water stuck to it. No, water drops don't prove that we can have a reification of measurements taken of a flat plane to infer that we've got a spherical radius value, for instance. Those measurements that you would use to claim we've got a ball of water or water ball, whatever doesn't offend you, that inference has come from making measurements of the Earth as flat. So it's absurd to say that we've got a ball of any description when that inference came from measurements of Earth as flat. How could we possibly say it's a sphere when that's only been used to make a model to better predict how the stars will move, as opposed to us actually standing on the sphere that we measured flat? That seems stupid to me. So I'm not going to justify why we can have water on the bottom of a sphere, because what, Kepler tried to better predict when the stars would be in the positions that they're in by inferring that the radial value we measured flat makes Earth sphere-shaped and moving around the sun. That's just a model that was some clever man came up with to better predict the stars. It doesn't make us sphere-shaped. Quite the contrary, when his measurements were flat. That means we're flat. He measured it flat.
I posted a citation of the shape of a raindrop in the chat. If Earth is raindrop shaped, you're gonna have some serious radius problems.
It's just a fallacy of division, isn't it? What is true of a raindrop isn't true of all water as a whole.
True that. Fallacy of division. I like that one. They do that with mass a lot.
I think that's a composition.
Damn it. I knew I was waiting for the correction. I thought, I've got it right, thank God. No one's going to correct me. It's a composition fallacy.
No, it's a
not
fallacy
the
of
fallacy of division. That works the other way round, but I always get them confused. My bad.
Gravity is a pseudo-force.
Say what's true of the whole is true of the parts.
Hold on, Brenda's telling us about pseudo something or other.
Yeah, gravity is a pseudo-force that only appears in non-inertial reference frames.
What does pseudo mean?
Means it's not. It's
not real.
Created by other. It's created by other reasons, not innate.
Means sham. That's the definition. It means sham, fake, not real.
No, not in physics.
No,
not
that's
in
the
physics.
definition of.
Not in physics.
Okay, citation.
I can't post images here. So this is just from general relativity. Gravity is considered to be a pseudo-force or an apparent force. You only see it in accelerated reference frames, not inertial reference frames.
We don't see it at all. It's a bent geodesic in a space-time. That's pseudo also. Pseudo geometry.
Yeah, we don't see the air. We don't see the air either.
Really
but
polite.
we know
Is
the
that you
air
being
thing.
really polite? How ladylike of you to interrupt the middle of my sentence that annihilates your position.
Do we see the air?
I was in the middle of a sentence.
Do we see the air?
Maybe your question overrides the middle of my sentence because you're so ladylike about your approach to this, because you're so polite. You're trying so hard, aren't you? Trying and failing.
Yeah.
Failing miserably.
Do we see
do you
air?
want to keep interrupting? Maybe if you keep doing it, I'll never get to the end of that sentence that you don't want to hear. Keep trying. You're failing miserably.
We don't see the air.
I definitely won't ever get to make the statement. Terrifying if you're a globe believer. Bent geodesics in 4D space-time aren't something we will ever experience. Ever. Can't experience pseudo-geometry, a description. The best I've ever heard is somebody saying that we couldn't possibly conceptualize it in the same way a two-dimensional piece of paper man couldn't conceptualize our three-dimensional Euclidean space that we do actually inhabit and can describe and experience. But we couldn't ever physically experience, by every estimation and definition I've ever heard of bent geodesics in spacetime, we couldn't possibly experience them, nay fathom them, as mere three-dimensional beings. But yet you're describing how they affect things. These pseudo-forces, these pseudo-geometries. No, I mean, there's lots of mitigation for why we wouldn't experience them and why we couldn't have them in physical reality. Those justifications and mitigations, I've heard endless ones for them. But we definitely can't experience this in physical reality, Brenda. It's a pseudo-force. Pseudo means sham, fake, not real. Doesn't have a different definition in physics, and not being able to post something doesn't change the fact that pseudo means sham.
No, it's pseudo-Riemannian. It's not pseudo-geometry. It's pseudo-Riemannian.
Yes, pseudo.
Pseudo-Riemannian.
Yeah, the name of the 4D space-time is pseudo-Riemannian, or pseudo-Riemannian as I like to say it. Yeah, pseudo.
It's not a true Riemann surface.
Yeah, it's a sham. Fake, not real.
Not a true Riemann manifold.
Real. Yeah, that's right. Not a true surface. Yeah, that's right. There is no fourth-dimensional pseudo space-time.
Not a true Riemann surface.
Yeah, I agree. Not true, not real.
You
sham.
don't know what you're talking about.
I'm agreeing with you.
You don't know.
I'm agreeing. Not real, not true. Sham. Yeah, I agree.
No, it means pseudo-Riemann. Riemann
Stop
is
agreeing
a
with Brenda
manifold.
and not knowing. Stop
He's not
agreeing with
agreeing.
Brendan, not knowing what you're
He's not
talking
agreeing
about.
with. He's not agreeing with me, Jeremy. He doesn't
agree, it's not
understand
real.
what pseudo means.
It means fake. It means sham.
No, it's not a proper Riemann manifold.
Yeah,
That's
not
what it
real.
means.
Yeah, like a sham Riemann manifold.
Correct. Correct. Not a true Riemann manifold.
Yeah, not true. Yeah.
By the way, Riemann is
Yeah,
how
that's what
you
pseudo means.
Riemann is
Yeah,
how
yeah, we
no.
agree. We agree. Not real. Not true. Yeah.
No, it's real. That doesn't mean
Oh,
it
so the
isn't real.
not real ramen surface is a real ramen surface? Like ramen noodles are real?
No, incorrect.
So is it not real or real? Which one is it? Not true or
It's
true?
real. It has centripetal force is real, but
Well, that's
it's
not-
also a pseudo
The
force.
centripetal force isn't pseudo-Riemannian 4D space bent geodesics, though, is it? Maybe if you describe something that is real, it will be getting around the pseudo non-force of bent geodesics. But that's not centripetal forces now, is it, Brenda? They're real forces. Unlike the
Centrifugal forces are
force,
pseudo
try and be
forces.
a lady when you're here. That's not the pseudo forces that Einstein described in his maths. They're pseudo, not real. Pseudo force.
Centrifugal force is
Yeah,
a pseudo force.
Centripetal and centrifugal are not real forces. They're just merely derived from your reference frame if you're moving in a non-inertial direction. The actual force is moving the non-inertial plane that you will experience the force from.
That was
So yeah,
word salad.
centrifugal and centripetal are pseudo forces.
It's just word salad from the man who claims to have 2 degrees.
Yeah, centripetal and
So,
centrifugal are pseudo
centrifugal
forces.
force is
I'll
a
explain
pseudo.
it to you again if you.
No,
Sorry,
I'll
from
explain it to you.
From the man who
Centrifugal
claims
force
what?
is a pseudo
Sorry,
force.
I didn't catch
Very
that.
real.
Everyone stop. Sorry, from the man who claims what? What's this man claiming?
Centrifugal
Sorry,
force.
stop. I need to know what the man is claiming. What man and what's he claiming? Who's the man we're talking about here?
Riemann. That's his name.
I heard
Riemann.
about trying to be a man or something. What? Who are you talking to?
I was talking to refracted. He's wrong.
Pseudo.
Centrifugal force is a pseudo
You were
force.
talking about
It's
his
still
degrees.
real.
Degrees, you said. What are you talking about?
Oh, he's it's that stolen valor that you guys like so much. He claims to be an engineer and in electricity and mechanics, and that's a lie. He doesn't have that.
But what does this have to do with the argument? This is an ad
It shows that he's a
hominem
liar.
fallacy. Ad hominem
He's a
fallacy,
liar.
perhaps? Ad hominem? Attack the man, right?
No, it's just an insult.
Sorry, no, we were having an argument about pseudo-geometry and what you utilised in the middle of an argument about pseudo-Riemannian force-based geometry was a personal attack in lieu of a response. That's an ad hominem fallacy.
Centrifugal force is
so now you're going to get onto
pseudo-force,
just going to dissect past the fact you've just used an ad hominem fallacy. You said it was an insult. No, it wasn't. Now you're going to get back onto the reply that you could have given, but you gave an ad hominem fallacy instead. Now you're going to get onto that reply you should have given, but you didn't. You gave an ad hominem fallacy. Can you acknowledge that, please, Brenda?
Oh, okay. It was an ad hom.
Get lost.
No
Kick
big-
her
no
out.
biggie.
She's just here to use
Pseudo-force.
fallacies.
A pseudo-force
Kick her
is real.
out. I don't want to talk to her. Not only is she a proven liar, zenith angles liar, now you're using fallacies. Fallacies against the man, no less. The lowest, scummiest kind of fallacy there is, Brenda. Now you can get lost. Yeah? Don't use fallacies. Yeah, we'd rather have arguments with reasonable people. Yeah? Not people who attack the man rather than the argument. Yeah, outrageous behaviour. Fallacy using, it's all you've got, you globe-believing muppet. Can't actually attack the arguments, you need to attack the man. Pathetic.
Yeah. And let me go ahead and respond to the centrifugal and centripetal are real forces. No, there's forces. You don't experience them. You can only describe them from reference frame. They're reference frame dependent. And the thing is, there is no actual force being applied because it's reference frame dependent. The actual force is turning the reference frame. Your inertia wants to carry you straight because the reference frame is turning. You experience what we call a pseudo force, reference frame.
And meanwhile, there is no bent geodesic in space-time. And there is no 0G when I fall. It's absurd.
Well, he's trying to steal valor from pseudo-forces by calling Einsteinian a pseudo-force. That isn't the case. It's just pseudo. It's a sham that has
Getting
nothing to
time
do
into
with
the
physics.
3D spatial. Oh, my bad, John. Your mic sucks.
It's your mic that sucks, John. That's why you're getting interrupted a bit, but we can hear 70% of what you're saying.
Yo, you can't add time in with 3D space. Like, that's not going to make another spatial dimension or make something happen. That just tells you when something happens in 3D space. That's all that happens when you add time. That pseudo Romanian, whatever his name was, that shit's not real.
Ramen noodle. It's
The 4D
Einstein.
ramen noodle space.
No, pseudo-Riemannian geometry is Einstein's geometry for bent geodesics, for space-time. That's Einstein. Not Mr. Ramen.
Ramen noodle. That's not real, though.
It's a real geometry. Invented by Einstein. It just made it up, but you can look at it on paper. You know, like you can write down the digestive tract of unicorns. I can give you the maths for it if you want. I can publish a book with all sorts of equations about the digestive tract of unicorns. What's that you say? Unicorns aren't real? Well, here's the maths for them. What's wrong with that?
Well, according to some of these guys, whoever's picking the black swan, you say unicorns are real, you say unicorns aren't real. I say unicorns are real. If I don't show you a unicorn and I can't produce one or show you one, apparently we're on equal footing in that argument. That's the kind of stuff we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Called an argument from silence fallacy. No one's showing there aren't any unicorns. Therefore, we're on equal footing in terms of proving that they're real or not real. No. There's a burden of proof on the person that claims they're real. Prove they're real. What's that? You failed? Can't show they're not real? No, don't work like
Yeah, it's a claim of non-existence. A lot of these guys have trouble with the burden of proof when it comes to claims of non-existence. Like if I say, hey, gas pressure without a container, that doesn't exist. They now think I have the burden of proof for some strange reason. I don't know why.
Right. You can show them endless examples of gas pressure requiring containment. Their unfounded claim, unsubstantiated claim that no, gas pressure can achieve a sphere-shaped atmosphere without containment. All right, show me. No. You show me that you can't achieve not having gas pressure without containment. You're like, what are you talking about? This is a violation of natural law, an extraordinary claim that you cannot demonstrate, but you think I've got some burden to satisfy. No, I'm not claiming anything about the sky at all. I don't need to. You just have to prove it's a vacuum in violation of natural law, which you can't do. They love flipping the burden.
Yeah, they don't know how it works when it comes to claims of non-existence.
What Brenda reminded me of, remember when they muted John and started talking about his military career, something they didn't have access to? That's how horrible these people are that we have to deal with. They just make stuff up and then call us liars. It's horrible.
Yeah.
These people are horrible.
These people are lying to themselves. Brenda's a perfect example. Let's be honest. They're projecting. Yeah, these people need to lie to themselves continuously. They don't like it. So it's not them lying to themselves. We're the liars, aren't we? Yeah, that's not washing anymore. 10 years down the line, we aren't giving you any pain relief, and we damn well know it. And we'll point out how you're lying to yourselves when you use measurements for a flat Earth to claim a globe. Then present citations that say level isn't level until that destroys your fundamental basis of your paradigm in the Earth curve maths. And then you can just rumpus for 20 straight minutes. Maybe have some white knight come in and tell me that I'm scared. Absolutely priceless.
Well, she called me a liar and then tried to repeat what I just said. That was like shocking. Like, I just corrected you, and now you're going to call me a liar and then repeat what I just said? It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's why I had her kicked out for it. on the basis that she could admit that she was using a fallacy, regardless of the justification or legitimacy of a personal attack, if you want to call it that. It isn't. It's an ad hom. Why? Well, because she wants to take away John's credibility. She's lost the argument to him, so now he needs taking down a peg or two in terms of his credibility in the eyes of the audience. So that's what she'll go for next. She's scum. That's why she's banned from my server. She went after my kids, said social services should come take them away from me when she lost an argument. Utter scum. There we go.
You know, in observing, sorry.
I was just saying, there we go. There's me adding in filler to dead air. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in observing the quote unquote conversation or debate about the whole globe versus flat, more often than not, hours and hours go by where the globers, they can't stop talking from their belief. Like if it was an honest discussion, everyone should put things aside and talk about what has been measured, what is actually real in reality. But we almost have to, I mean, I don't want to do it anymore in 2024. We have to argue with them about their religious beliefs, and it just doesn't really make sense. So I appreciate everything you're doing to push away the religious aspect of the discussion and just look at what is measurable. And also, it just seems like a new you, Nathan. You're a lot calmer. You're not cussing people out, and I think it's awesome. It makes me want to listen for a long time, so keep it up.
You say that, it's an impression that you probably only get because you're around the server and we're interacting directly. Whereas when you go back and listen to this show, you'll probably find that I've got quite feisty with people like Brenda especially. Or maybe I haven't. A show went by and I thought I've been perfectly calm. And then the following day, someone was like, oh, what you said to that person was just downright disgusting. I was like, what did I say? I thought I did all right. And they're like, no, you said that you get your tongue out my ass. I'm like, yeah, that's a fairly common saying here. When people are brown-nosing, you say, get your tongue out my ass. No need. But that apparently is really offensive. I'm like, okay. That I didn't. I know it's vulgar, but it's still a common saying here. Like calling someone an ass kisser in America. You're like, if you were uninitiated, you'd hear ass kisser and think somebody kissing their anus. How disgustingly vile. But because it's common in America to call someone an ass kisser, you know, British people must just take it to the next level of vulgarity and not really care. And therefore, when that's, you know, foisted on you as an American, perhaps you don't like it. Fair enough. And I had to be told that. But literally, I didn't give it a second thought after I'd said it. I didn't think there was anything. I didn't think it was going to be construed as being extra or overtly vulgar more than anything else I typically say. But there we go.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. It can get really frustrating at times dealing with people who are like banging their head up against the wall. Because the frustrating thing is the math for the globe, it works for them, so they think it is true. I mean, there's a dynamic and kinematic equivalence to the stationary topographical plane that we live on and is reality. And because they backward engineered the globe and they have math that they say functional, doesn't mean it's reality or true. And they think we're stupid and a fool and idiots, and they're right. So if they think they have the truth and they think we're deceived, they're never going to see the truth, and that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, they'd rather.
It doesn't dynamic.
They'd rather rumpus when their contradictions are laid bare, like Earth has a level that's comporting with a sphere surface, and until that destroys a curve maths that I'm using also to claim there's 8 inches per mile squared that we need to justify when we ignore perspective. When that falls apart, all they can do is talk through the top of you and claim that you're scared of hearing them rumpus you. Project.
Well, doesn't the whole dynamic equivalence mean dynamic kinetic equivalence means not only is their math correct, but ours is too, because they're the same math. It's just a matter of perspective.
Yes.
From their own.
Yeah. That's a much more eloquent way of putting what I said in the live show. Call me a globe believer, Earth's measured flat. Yes, you've just said it in a much better way with a word that I'm only just starting to get to grips with. Kinematic. I understand the principle of what it means, but I'll never forget it. I'll never remember it next time it comes to using the correct use of it. But yeah, their maths is our maths. To have a functional globe, you need a functional flat Earth to measure. It's symbiotic in that respect, which is why I think we haven't been banned from YouTube.
Well, it's what they call Earth curve mass. You could call it flat Earth resolution loss curve mathematics, because you're describing the resolution loss at the horizon as things appear to be crushed into a single point. And it starts from the lowest angle and works its way up, because that's where you have the widest angle. That's how their math works. It's said in maths.
All right.
All right, I stepped
What
away
else we
and
got,
lots of
guys?
dead air. We're going to round out, or is someone going to start
I
a new
think I
conversation?
think a rule has an issue with the container. He's a flat earther. He's based in pretty. I mean, he's pretty good logical, but I mean, Arul, you there, bro?
Yeah, what's up?
What was it? You that had the issue with the container? Gas
No, I don't
pressure
have an issue with the container. I just have an issue with the way the claim was being made.
I'll make the claim. Ready? You can only have gas pressure without a container. Doesn't exist. There's the claim.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Gas pressure without a container doesn't exist.
The other day, the way the claim was made was. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, if there is an available space for gas to fill, it will, is the actual claim.
Yeah, gas
That's
fill
the
space.
positive claim.
The claim is gas fill space. It's not a claim, it's a law of nature, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well,
I'm just saying I was just saying if someone makes a positive contingent claim, right, the burden of proof is on them to prove that. But that couldn't really be proved unless you have the container. Well, same gas pressure requires a container. You would need to show the container for the well. But if you say gas fills space,
hold on a second. If you say gas pressure requires a container, white swans exist. Another person is saying no, black swans exist. You can have it without the container. Who's the burden of proof on? You think?
Again, it comes down to the definition. Like, what do you mean gas pressure without a container?
See, they don't, dude. Can you just address what I said though before we get down to the definition of gas pressure?
It's because you've not phrased it. It's because you haven't phrased it as a question.
I'll address that.
Just to Jeremy. It's because you haven't phrased it as a question. So, who's the guy you were talking to? The guy who got the objection? What's your name?
Arul.
Yeah, me. Arul.
Say one more time.
Arul, Arul, Arul. Indian name.
Okay, see if I can find you. Okay. How
I
can
put it in
you
a
have
white swan, black swan.
how do you achieve gas pressure without a container?
I'm not saying you can't. My problem is only with the formulation of the claim.
So, in answer to my question, you can't.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
So, to answer my question, your answer would be you can't have gas pressure without a container. To answer my question in full.
Colloquially speaking, yeah, but again, I would need to know what is the definition of gas. I actually don't know.
I'm putting words into your mouth. So, in answer to my question, how can you have gas pressure without a container? Your answer would be you can't have gas pressure without a container. That would be your answer, correct?
Well, to be honest, I don't know what gas pressure. Actually, what the definition of gas pressure is.
I'll define it for you. No worries. It's defined. I'll pick NASA. Why not? It's the force exerted on the walls of its container. That's the definition of gas pressure. So, in answer to my question, how can you have gas pressure without a container? The response would be you can't have gas pressure without a container. But what's the definition of pressure? The definition of pressure is the force a gas exerts on the walls of its container. We all clear?
Is that the definition of pressure? or gas pressure?
Yeah, that's NASA's
Gas-
definition of gas pressure.
Gas pressure, not pressure. What's the definition of pressure?
A force. Pressing.
So there's no difference between force or
Yeah,
pressure.
but we are specifically talking about gas, though, aren't we? So let's just focus on gas pressure. Gas pressure.
All right, cool.
Yeah, because we're breathing
so
gas.
by definition,
Yeah, it's just that we're breathing gas, and there's a claim that there's a massive area of space above our heads that the gas could fill, and gas fills space, doesn't it?
Cool. So by definition, if gas pressure is defined as a pressure exerted by a gas against the walls of a container, then by definition, of course, under that formulation, there would be, you could not have gas pressure without a container because it's an antecedent. I get that. I'm not retarded. I'm saying because there was a long discussion the other day, and the claim was put forward as a contingent claim. I forget exactly what the formulation was. No, and I said that any contingent claim, which is an unnecessary fact, the burden of proof is on that person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see where you're going now, and it makes me smile. Yeah, you'll never hear me claiming there's a dome. Why? Because the burden of proof is on me to prove that there is one, isn't there? Now, I can assert by inference that I force you to make. Now, you wouldn't let the words come out of your mouth. I had to put them in your mouth by logical inference, which you did accept, and I appreciate that you did accept them, right? But I can make you infer that you can't have gas pressure without a container by asking you the question, how do you have gas pressure without a container? And the answer is you can't. Now, by way of antecedent-consequent relationship, you can make the inference that there must be containment, but you're never going to catch me claiming what the container is, because I don't know. But we must have containment. That goes without saying. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship. We're breathing gas.
I get it. So this was a long.
People mess up where they start claiming there's a
Just
dome
let him.
up
Just
there.
let him acknowledge it.
That's a bad-
The guy who was interacting. Can you just let him acknowledge it? Thanks.
Acknowledge. But the context of the entire conversation was we had ruled out the argument by definition, right? So that was where in a kind of good faith fashion that had been ruled out. Then we'd moved on to a contingent assertion, right? And it escapes me exactly what the formulation was, but at that particular moment, people started dogpiling this one globe earther.
But that would require you to. Wouldn't that require a definition of gas pressure different from the one we just used?
We
you need to define your terms.
Yeah, but again, the
discussion gets closed at that point. That's the end of the discussion, unless you want to start making claims about what the sky is.
Well, hold on.
Can we not phrase this?
Where I want to
Can we not phrase this like the black swan argument, not the oil rig one, the actual black swan argument, where I say you can only have gas pressure with a container. Gas pressure without a container doesn't exist. Black, white swan. Is that not good, or
no? Because that would mean that the inference with the Karl Popper example with the black swan in mind, or an example with logical consistency, would mean that someone's actually presenting you an example, the black swan example of gas pressure without a container. Now, if someone offers a black swan, that would be someone showing, in answer to my question, how you can have gas pressure without a container. They go like this and show you. That would be the black swan, their black swan. And they only need one.
Well, the thing is,
if they can show it once, no containment whatsoever, gas pressure being achieved, they only need one, and that would be their black swan. The problem is you can't.
But for me, just to be colloquial for just 1 second, so I'm not going to be not going to try and be all autistic with this. Wouldn't it be, so the thing you guys said earlier with gas fills available space, I think that is just a better line of argument, because in a colloquial sense, what I see, for me, it's you have a container. The gas is always filling the available space. It's moving away from any surface, basically. So you have this surface called the Earth, whatever it is, and yet you don't, and yet you supposedly have all this gas, which as gas moves away to fill the available space, is not filling the available space, aka the billions and billions of miles of the universe, and it's still hovering around this ball. That to me is the problem in their model.
It's not.
Why is it?
Yeah, well, I see. The problem is it's a second law of thermodynamics violation, isn't it?
Yeah, so to me, that's the problem. I don't know why this. Like honestly, I didn't even know what pressure is. Is pressure actually different from force? I'm just being good faith. I was genuinely.
Oh, gas pressure.
Is there a distinction between? No, just pressure.
You did this last time. Yeah, you can define pressure, but in this particular argument, we're specifically talking about gas pressure, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like now I'm kind of moving on. I'm not a globe earther.
I didn't think you were.
Asking, is there a difference? Yeah, I know. I'm just asking, is there what is the difference between force and pressure?
Well, I mean, pressure definition is continuous. Hold on, give me a second. I was in. Pressure definition is actually a continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. So, by definition, they have to put pressure.
Yeah, they can't be separated. One is literally pressure is literally just a description of a force from the Newtonian perspective.
A constant force. So the thing which would like make pressure the subset of force would be the constancy and the contact.
No, you can have pressure that goes away after an amount of time. It's literally just the amount of force exerted over an area of surface. That's it. That's the literal definition of it.
All right.
That's not gas pressure, though.
Yeah. I just want to know the definition because, again, for me to understand what gas pressure is, I would need to know what pressure is, right?
Yeah,
unless it's gas force.
I think John wanted to say something. Was it John?
I think what he's alluding to is the availability of space. The way we can demonstrate that in physical reality is with a container. But if we're talking about the boundaries of physical reality, there's no way we can show that. Is that what you're saying?
We can look at what's reality, and by the implications of what reality is, we can know something about what's at the edge.
Yeah, kind of. We know that we have containment. That's it. That's the end of the statement that you can draw. And if someone says, prove it, yeah, we've got gas pressure. That is the proof by way of antecedent-consequent relationship. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Therefore, there must be containment. I don't know what it is, and I wouldn't be so bold as to start making claims about the sky. Now, further to that, the positive claim, the only reason you're going to be describing this in the first instance, because I don't care about the sky or why we've got gas pressure. The only reason this is being stated is because there's a positive claim that the sky's a vacuum. Well, gas fills space. The guy who's got the objection is like, well, wouldn't the most concise argument just be the gas fills space? Because their positive claim is that there's a space. Well, gas would fill it. So yeah, you're right.
Basically, that was.
I've made the argument like that too. Gas fills the volume, and you got some citations on that. That's very easy to show that gas fills the volume. Any citation about gas will tell you that it fills the volume. So the next question is, what's the volume in your heliocentric model that the gas can fill? That's a tough question for him to answer.
Oh, they're denying the vacuum now. There's no vacuum out there, so there's gas everywhere.
Sorry. So because basically where that globe earther went, right, eggshells, I guess his name was. He was basically saying, like, look, a container is just a way of exerting a force to redirect the gas. And he's saying, look, we have another force to redirect the gas. So it's not that there's something unique about a container which is going to. That was his argument, and that's why I had to like kind of step in.
Well, there is something very specifically unique about it. It's the antecedent for the pressure to form. So that makes it quite unique when it comes to describing what gas pressure is. Containment's very much.
Well, yeah. Well, then someone should have then at that point, at that juncture, again, because I don't know that much about physics and the contingent laws of this domain. Let's say, someone should have then at that point said, well, there is something unique about a container as opposed to any other force to redirect the gas.
Yeah, it has solid structure to press upon. The pressing on bit. So even when you come to defining pressure, or as someone did earlier, it's the being in contact bit. Well, the gas has to physically exert a force onto the container to be at pressure. It's part of the definition of gas pressure. So we can watch Bluey shortly.
What they're doing, what the owners are doing.
I was going to say I've got a different idea.
They're both coming in at the same
I'm sorry.
time. Let's go with
I've got to round out soon.
first.
I'll have
Yeah.
a nagging 4-year-old demanding Bluey if I don't put it on. So I will round out shortly. If there's any last points, I've probably got 3 minutes before chaos ensues.
Yeah, well, I'll make my point. What they're doing, the ballers, is they're taking the ideal gas law, which is PV equals nRT, and they're removing the T and adding in a G instead. So they're changing the ideal gas law to PV equals nRG, removing the T, because there's three things you can't have without a container. One is gas pressure, another is temperature, and the third is a vacuum. None of those things can be accessible without a container. They're removing the T because the T controls the gas. T will control conductive and convective temperature controls the gas, not so much radiative. So T controls the gas, but they're removing that and trying to place in some kind of a force of gravity in place of it. So if gravity, whatever they want to claim it is, a force, not a force, whatever they want to claim, if gravity was real and controlled gases, then it would be part of the ideal gas law. It's not part of the ideal gas law because it isn't real and doesn't control gases.
With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to the Discord server, which today was Earth Awakenings, for making today's live and after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to my Discord, my G Plus panel for making today's live and after show possible also. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!